Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. It's Tuesday night. In fact, it's only Tuesday night for a small portion of the world. It's actually Wednesday morning for most of us. And that's only just happened. But I am simply making good on my promise tonight to, to make my Google Hangouts painfully frequent for a while and see if I could turn it into a regular hangout for people. And just to see what, this is an experiment, see what happens. So here I am. So right now I'm actually building some small handmade models. So what I'll do is I'll bore you with some limericks while I'm getting my stuff set up, and maybe some viewers will pop in, maybe some people will come. So I've invited everybody and the Pope, and there are join buttons in various places. Okay. Robert Conquest once wrote a poem, a limerick about the Russian Revolution. So let's do that real quick. It's the Russian Revolution in 5 lines, as a limerick's form is 5 lines. There once was a bastard named Lenin who did 2 or 3 million men in. That's a lot to have done in. But where he did 1 in, that old bastard Stalin did 10 in. Pretty good one. That's funny. I like that one. One of Christopher Hitchens' favorites, so it would seem. Let's see. Let's do the next one on the list. There once was a girl named Bright who could travel much faster than light. She departed one day in a relative way and returned on the previous night. There was a fellow named Paul who had a hexagonal ball. Its height plus its weight times the square root plus 8 was his phone number. Give him a call. You can join by clicking various places, viewers. There was a man from Peru whose limerick stopped at line 2. There was a man from Mexico who bought all his groceries at Texaco. Just hear the screams because he bought the beans as he runs to the bathroom and lets it go. That one's an original of Mr. Cropper, I'll have you know. Just because I played cards for a long time with a guy from Mexico. A long time, I mean months. And I always wanted to do a limerick about a guy from Mexico, but I never heard one, and never saw one, never found one. So I made one up. So there it is. There was a girl from Madras who possessed a magnificent ass. Neither round nor pink, as some may think. It was gray, had long ears, and ate grass. Ladies and gentlemen, you can join this by clicking in several places. This is my self-appointed threatened duty to create a hangout once in a while. So, what happens is I'll stroll up and down the Hangouts on Google Hangouts available, and some of them have join buttons and some don't. And once in a while there's one you can join, and it's always about video games. So you can join this, ladies and gentlemen. You can ask me philosophical questions, or you can give me a piece of your mind. And since I don't have anyone with me yet, I'm loath to put the join buttons in the place I used to, because the thing got crashed a couple times by trolls. And I mean, it just came in and booted everyone out. There once was a man from Australia with his story I won't regale ya. Now, the fun thing about limericks is that they're 5 lines. So when you find one that's 2 lines, they're really fun. There's only a couple of them, though. The engine driver called Hunt. If you know Christopher Hitchens, he loves this one because he does a shtick with it. The engine driver called Hunt was given an engine to shunt. He saw a runaway truck, and by yelling out, "Duck!" saved the life of the fellow in front. And we know where you wanted that to go, dirty-minded as you are. So that was funny how Hitchens did his shtick with that. Let's see, there was a man from Devises whose eyeballs were 2 different sizes. Neither, let's see, the left one was small and no good at all. The right one was large and won prizes. I apologize for the lack of action, but you can join in several places if you want to bring action. Oh, here's one of my favorite. I love this, and what I hate is that Hitchens never said this one. On the chest of a barmaid at Yale were printed the prices of ale, and on her behind, for the sake of the blind, was the same information in Braille. I love that one for various reasons. And I could go on and on with the limericks. I am waiting for people to join in, and I thought it would be late enough that some irresponsible people somewhere would be able or willing to join. So maybe I'll hang out for another 20 minutes. I don't know how many more limericks I have. But do you know that assault weapons are purchased mostly by white people, and black people purchase pepper weapons more than assault weapons? Did you know that? I will advertise now for the State of Mind show. Todd Reinhardt, with 37 years of radio broadcast experience, gets together with me of a Sunday morning, and we do a show for 1 hour. So tune in for that State of Mind show. I do have a theory that Stephen Hawking is probably a captive, isn't he? And how would we know? I mean, he's got that computer, and so he looks at various things on the thing, and the computer speaks for him. So what if the computer is linked to the internet, and there's a supercomputer beyond what we realize already? We don't even realize it's gotten there. And there it is, feeding information to Stephen Hawking's computer, and he's just sitting there, his eyeballs are just saying, help, help, help. But the computer's coming out with these theories of black holes and stuff. Right? That's plausible. So Stephen Hawking may be in control of a supercomputer, and how would we know it if he were? As long as you want, if you like a good conspiracy theory, try that one on for size. Now look, some people say that women aren't funny. Well, reasonable people say it. Not everybody says it, but reasonable people say that women aren't funny. If that's true, and let me take one more step, if gay men are essentially women in men's bodies, they have a woman brain born in a male body, or some fragment of a woman brain in an important place born in a male body. If that's true, that gay men are essentially women in male bodies, and women aren't funny, that would suggest that gay men aren't very funny. And that would explain Dane Cook. All right, again, ladies and gentlemen, you can join in various places. Click here, there, everywhere, and come and banter with me. So I've got some viewers. I can see you guys there. You probably want to join, but you can't join because I won't put the links in the various places. Maybe I should go put the link in the one place I often do, and maybe someone else will join. Let me just do that. But the thing was crashed by a troll or something like that a couple of times. So, and who knows how often that's going to happen. My friend is a real jerk. I hang out with him because he lives near me, but he's a real asshole. And here's what happened the other day. He says to his wife, look, you know, don't make a mess when your friends come over to make decorations. What was it? 4th of July decorations and nonsense they were going to do. He says, don't make a big mess in the house. And she says, you know what? Why don't you put on a shirt? Because nobody wants to see that. And he says, right. put a bag on your face. Ooh, because no one wants to see your face. So he's like that with her. So I just thought I would share that. Let's see. Scientists have discovered the two things that are most likely to make a girl end up pregnant. Her legs in the air. Both of them. 2 legs in the air. All right. Now, have you ever noticed that you can't tell the difference between... everybody says they can't tell the difference between Chinese people and stuff. I can. That's fine. One Chinese guy from another, I can definitely tell a difference between. But it's white people that trips me up. And I'll meet 2, 3, 5 white guys. God, they all melt together. I cannot tell the difference between white people. So I've come up with a solution. If you don't know a white guy's name, just say, "Hey, Mike." And you're 90% of the time got it. So just, that's fine. That's advice. Now, have you guys seen the problem with shoes? What's going on with shoes? There's enough of them, but they cost a lot. But here's the interesting thing. There's all these poor people walking around with really nice shoes. And they even go to school with a new pair of shoes every day or every week, whatever. They love to have lots and lots of shoes in super mint condition. What is this? Do you know what this is? I figured it out. These people, most of them, are of a certain heritage. And they're trying to keep that obsession with a nice, clean shoe alive, because a lot of them had shoe shiners as fathers and grandfathers. So it's just heritage. When people like shiny shoes, it's just heritage, isn't it? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you can click and join in various places. You can join this. Santa's a jerk. Look at this guy. He's a... What now? What if you were... Okay, so Santa... Oh, super Finn guy. I don't have to keep going through my bad stand-up comedy lines. I've got somebody. What's going on?
Hello there. Yeah, I just woke up, and decided to join in. Yeah, I was taking a nap, so
Good time.
I'll be able to hang out for a bit,
All right. Yeah, sure thing. No, this is a risky thing for us, because the other night you and Vic got crashed. Right after I got booted out, I saw you guys got Incredible Hulk in your face or something like that.
Oh, because we were mad because...
No, I mean, maybe it wasn't you two. I thought the Incredible Hulk started showing on the screen. Vic was talking to somebody in Incredible Hulk. Someone came.
Oh, yeah. The guy with the skull, like a voodoo type skull.
Yeah. He's
that's
my rooms. Right? So it's risky. He could come back. We'll see what happens. So.
Yeah. And then on the comment section, below the Hangouts, he asks, "What happened, lol?" So that. So, but it was his doing. So probably someone that knows, a bug with the Google Hangout system,
Yeah. And it might be something like I could turn off public permissions on the room or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Who knows what and it's also it's too much.
But the thing is that you were coming from a place of nihilists, so I'm not surprised that one showed up,
Yeah, and it's somebody from one of Piro's rooms. It's probably Dos Spook, something like that. Oh, Dos Spook, I give him a hard time. Do you remember his videos from back in the day?
I remember the name, but I don't remember the person.
He didn't do too many, and I think he erased them out of shame. But they were really bad videos. Him and Adrianoff got together and did them. But he's in Piro's room, and I had a few the other night. I was a couple of sheets to the wind, but I had to be impolite to him because he would open his stupid, ugly mouth and talk. and he would change subjects every sentence and a half. And he would go on
Yeah.
10 sentences, and he's got 5 subjects hanging in the air with 10 sentences. And then he says, and he just stops. And it was a pattern that just kept going on and on and on. Every time he opened his stupid mouth. So, I don't know. This hanging out in these Google Hangouts is practice for good philosophy, but it's also like examples of garbage, too. I mean,
Yeah, like the guy that was on here last time, the guy with the Ninja Gaiden avatar, the guy with the ninja
yeah,
mask.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I saw something similar with his arguments. He
yeah.
would, go from point to point and then go back to a previous point. If the point was further back, he would pick up it up again and come up with the same argument again. We would talk in circles. So
He's tireless like that. He'll keep going back to his original point and just keep. Not he's
yeah, cool.
not,
Keep going on, and you'll have to explain it on and on again. So
yeah.
yeah.
He's pretty
Uh,
honest, but well,
Yeah.
listen, Super Fin guy. I've been having this discussion with a friend of mine about teaching philosophy to kids and about teaching philosophy to other people and stuff. And I wonder how common the mistake is that I'm seeing people make about it. What do you think about teaching philosophy to a 6 or 10-year-old or something like that? Can you say anything on it? And if this bores you, just change it to quantum mechanics or something. I'm just trying to preview
Well,
it. Trying to do something.
I'm pretty interested in philosophy in general, because it's the root of science, it's the root of of all that. But yeah, and the root of all kinds of behavior that a person might have, for example, the way he thinks. So I'm pretty interested in that too. So yeah, to teach kids, I think it's to teach them, the things that they find interesting. For example, teach like to play in the dirt, or they like to touch things. They like to ask questions. I think as a good teacher, you'd have to answer those questions. For example, when I was a kid, I remember asking my parents how kids come to be, and yeah, and they will they would tell me a flat out lie, you know. So stuff like that, I think in that sense.
Okay, so what do you tell a 6-year-old who says, "Daddy, where did people come from the first time?"
Well, I wouldn't go into the details.
We'll get
But
you
I would say,
doing one sentence that makes sense on her level.
okay, I would say, mom and daddy come together and then they make a baby.
No. For the first time, where did they came from before cavemen learned how to light fires?
Okay. I would say, like where humans came from.
Yeah, because my daughter posed it to me because there were no humans when there were dinosaurs. She got that, and the dinosaurs got killed. And then later there were humans, and she's just trying to fill in the blanks a little bit. And so what do you say to that?
I would say that life is like plants. It start out small, and then it spreads its seeds, and those seeds grow into other plants, and humans were like a seed of a plant that grew, in a certain manner, something like that. I wouldn't use the word evolve because I think a child wouldn't have like a good grasp of that word, but
Right.
yeah,
No, that's
something like that. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I did tell her that we came from monkeys, and I know
Yeah.
evolutionarily that's not true. I know, but that gives her like something to hang on, and later on she can learn why that's not quite accurate. And she
Yeah.
can expand her
Yeah,
knowledge.
I mean, we didn't come from like the monkeys that are alive right now, but we did come from primates that were similar to monkeys,
Yeah,
right?
and she has no reason to distinguish between what a monkey is
Yeah.
today and what it was 20 million years ago. It's just
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. It delivers the point, So
Yeah. So yeah, I was was discussing this with a friend, and in a slight disagreement. I don't think you can teach, like you said to avoid the word evolution, and I agree with you on that. You want to expand on it a little bit, because here's the thing, I spent 10 years teaching, so I can do all this off the cuff, but I would like the viewers to I want you to sort of act right now for the next few minutes as like one of the viewers who's asking what, or telling me what your views are, and we'll see what. So why do you think evolution is not an appropriate word to use with a child?
Well, because they don't have a good conception of it. Maybe it's a new word, and they need to someone to explain to them what the word evolution is. And I think that like the metaphor of a plant would be a good metaphor for it. Like it starts from a seed and then it grows and grows, to something more complex. And one important point of that metaphor is that it comes from the ground. Like life evolved from the minerals in the earth. It evolved from things from the earth. It's no coincidence that volcanic ash, it's a good fertilizer. So so that's why I think that metaphor would be a good one.
Okay. So
Yeah.
why would you avoid the word evolution? Just because because you need to start with understanding that volcanic ash is good for life, and then life changes based on the fact that it's able to stay alive first by eating volcanic ash, and then other things. And then later on you come to the idea of evolution. So you're saying volcanic ash is relevant because that's how life started, but you can't say that evolution is something that's relevant talking to a child. You can talk about how volcanic ash is something that ancient bugs ate.
Mhm.
You can't
Oh, okay.
call, right? I mean, do you agree with that? You're bringing up volcanic ash. You would talk about a child with that. I think that's fairly reasonable, because what did the ancient bugs eat when there was nothing around?
Yeah, exactly. Like they had to eat something, so I guess they ate rocks. So
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they ate. They metabolized rock.
yeah.
So yeah, you've got to start it on a level the child can grasp, and then you can build on that.
Mhm.
Well, all right. Well, I mean, not everyone agrees with that. Not everyone thinks that's perfectly obvious. Oh, I thought.
Yeah.
Why don't you try something give me quantum mechanics or something? Now, what happened the other night?
Okay. Like for example, with the book, the qua- the what's the Herman's book? What's the name of the
The
book?
logical leap, is that the one you're?
The Logical.
Yeah,
Sorry, you.
The logical leap, David Harriman. Right?
Oh yeah, the Logical Leap from David Harriman. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I downloaded it from Audible the other day. I downloaded it for free because Audible has a an offer that the first time that you register, they give you one book for free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I downloaded it, the book, but that wasn't the first time that I made an account. So I downloaded it, and I just I'm just starting to listen to it, and it sounds good. But my only contention is that they talk about Newton way too much, and I'm not a real fan of Newton. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to admit that Newton was okay. Maybe Huygens was first. Is that what your hang up is?
Not because of that. Not because of that. Because Huygens explained, the equations and the mathematical descriptions in a very cogent manner. He explained first, what's going on, in the as what's going on as physics is, the interaction of matter, right? So
Right.
he explained that interaction, the particles, how they would interact, and then he came up with the geometry and mathematics to explain, you know the phenomena, whatever phenomena he was explaining at the time. But and Newton didn't do that. Newton just came up with the with the equations, and that was it. And he
Right.
didn't he didn't explain the equations. He gave you the equations with a very superficial explanation. And one time Newton said that he makes no hypothesis. And that is why. And Huygens was kind of upset about that. And one time he criticized Newton because he said that science without explanation is it's not science. Just describing something is not science. And that's why my main reservation against Newton is because I think he popularized the culture of mathematics and physics, the culture that we have today. Like quantum mechanics, that they don't explain anything. They just do a
Oh,
bunch of.
come on. Now wait a minute. Newton?
What?
You think Newton
Yeah.
did that?
Well, I think they're pretty similar because Newton didn't explain the physics of it, and just like quantum mechanics, they don't explain the physics of it.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
don't think Newton did that. That was German philosophy that did that. I think. But well,
Kind of, but I think Newton gave it a good start. If people even if Newton was replaced with Huygens, I think things would be different because Huygens had that mechanical view of the universe. That everything was particles interacting and stuff. And then nowadays that is frowned upon. That it was naive and it was that it's stupid. And sometimes nowadays things happen by magic. So that is my main reservation with Newton. Other than that, I think his physics is kind of all right if you understand the equations.
yeah, I was going to say on the edge you admit that he's not wrong about anything, right? You just think that Huygens did a better job at explaining it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And also the form of the equations, the form of Huygens equation are much more straightforward.
Oh,
They're very easy to read. Like Newton's equations are very convoluted.
hmm.
Yeah. Like for example, if you take the equation for acceleration, ms squared. What's if you teach someone about acceleration like that, they won't understand nothing at all. When I was a kid, I didn't understand that, and I was in the dark. I had no conception of acceleration. But then I started studying Huygens, and I understood that acceleration is nothing but the rate that something accelerates. For example, like gravity accelerates at 9.8 seconds. It starts as it accelerates at 9.8 seconds per second. So so that's pretty obvious. But unfortunately, when you read Newton's description, it doesn't show that.
Hmm. Well, these things are interesting. I wonder. I mean, how much of it have you read? How sourced are you? Because I mean, if, it's like so if Harriman and Peacock take Newton seriously, and if you're right about this, then objectivists are going to want to know, and you could write an article or something on it. So,
Yeah, I definitely could do that. I definitely could do that, and maybe show it on the or publicize it on the State of Mind, the Todd's show.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
I guess I could do that. I think that that'll be an interesting point.
yeah. There's not a very big audience of objectivists out there, but
Mhm.
they count. They're smart. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. You don't want to make a video for 12-year-olds. You want to make for like a million 12-year-olds, and I guess 21 or 31 smart people. It's pretty good. you
exactly.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting to an audience that counts and matters. I mean, look, if I would have done videos, think of all the videos I did in 2007, 8, 9. what if they were videos about wine drinking, video games, roller skating, and you know, whatever? I wouldn't have gathered this sort of following, you know. I mean, you guys wouldn't have been following me for the last 10 years if I was just doing videos about a video game I play once in a while. Everybody's doing videos about that. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that objectivists are a small group, and to get content for objectivists, there's only a few places you can go.
Yeah, like Mr. Cropper's channel.
Exactly.
Actually, before you got back, you know, objectivism content was very, very scarce. You know, very little in YouTube. So
Before I got back. You mean it's
Yeah.
got bigger since I got back?
yeah. I mean, there were other videos on objectivism, but not with the content that you have. You know, there's like once a month maybe there would be like a video from the Ayn Rand Institute, but it's, you know, it was the same thing, you know, the same gum that we objectivists been chewing from the institute, you know. So
You know,
but you come up with something new and new integrations, new thoughts, so that's pretty good.
yeah, and I hope to you know, I don't know if I should go join the institute or not, because then I'd have to be more straight buttoned and I'd have to behave myself. They'd probably come watch my YouTube videos and say, "Oh, you can't." But,
Yeah. I mean, at least you could be like an advisor or something, not someone that you know, that would show up in their video. I mean, you could show up in their videos, but not someone that would be in their front page. You know, you could be, you know, maybe in the background. You know.
I'll be a writer in the background or something.
Yeah.
I couldn't advise anybody because I'd just be like, no, because I'd tell them how it was and I'd explain to them and I'd try to teach them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, what do you think? What do you think of the of Brooks' message?
You're on Brooke on which message?
His overall message. Do you think that he as good as Peekov, or is he lacking, you know, perspective on some things?
No, I think he's really good.
Mhm.
I don't take exception to anything he's done or said. Do you have anything in mind? I know
Well,
Loran gives him a hell of a bad time.
who?
Loran, Monon.
Oh, okay, yeah. But no, yeah. I mean, Mon disagrees with everything, so that is expected.
He's a D2.
Yeah.
Mon, you're a D2. Super
Yeah.
big guy. You know the dim type stuff, right?
Yeah. The integrated, the misintegrated, and yeah,
And the disintegrated. Yeah. All right.
and the disintegrated. Yeah.
Good. It's gotta be something.
But I haven't read the book yet. But I've seen lectures and I've seen discussions about it. You know. So.
Yeah.
But I you know, didn't really read the book.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I've listened to the lectures back before the book existed. So I've been thinking about it for a long time. So, yeah, that sort of stuff cannot get anywhere but objectivism. You know, you don't have to go to the Ayn Rand Institute for that sort of stuff. But they just don't produce enough of it. Like you were saying, the same gum we've been through for a long time. And that's true. It'd be nice if they produced more. But
Yeah.
that's our job. That's your job. Where's the video about physics?
Yeah. I think instead of just consuming, you know, the audience should be producing more stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, the corporations sure aren't doing it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're producing a lot of shit. You know, they're producing, but it's shit. So,
Yeah, a lot of trash.
yeah. Now, who's out there saying, listen, pay attention to Huygens, he's even better than Newton? Who's ever said that? Now, if you're serious and you're right, do a video, and the objectivists will.
Oh, by the way, I do have a video of Huygens.
You did a video on Huygens?
Yeah,
What's it called?
if you go to my channel, it's called Philosophy of Science. If you want to play on here, you can.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's 9 or 8 minutes. So yeah, and it's pretty streamlined, so it wouldn't be boring. So, but yeah, check it out. Yeah.
Philosophy of Science, and it's about the Newton-Huygens jig?
It is about Huygens specifically.
Oh, about Huygens specifically?
Yeah.
Now, how popular is it? How many views has it had?
I think it has like 400 views or something like that. But I made it like 3 years ago or something.
All right, that's fair for one of these esoteric videos that we do. So
Yeah.
Philosophy of Science, super fin guy, eh?
Yeah. So it's basically about me reading parts of his essay on the cause of gravity, but just the philosophical part. I didn't go into the physics details. I was just
The
say again?
cause? The cause?
The cause of gravity, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Newton never went into that at all.
Not at all. And as I said before, like Huygens just described, the acceleration of gravity in a very casual manner. He did it because he needed it to build his pendulum clock. Yeah, that's the first one.
That was top one there. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an entry to a contest.
It was an entry to a. Oh,
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, about a contest about philosophy.
nice. And did you win or get a mention or anything?
I did. I got mentioned of the person that participated in the contest, but I didn't win anything.
All right. Well, I'll press play and we'll just enjoy it for this time. I'm going to grab a beer and be listening.
Okay.
So if you want me to stop it, give me a couple minutes because I'm going to be away. So I can stop it in about 2.5 minutes. So don't ask me to stop it before then. But I will stop it and you can explain things if you want to talk about something. So, but I'm going to press play and we'll just go.
Guy here.
All right.
This is my response to Dr. Jason J. Campbell, Inspiring Philosophy Challenge.
You should mute your microphone. Can you do that, Super Finks? I think you got some noise there.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's much better. You must have a fan blowing or something on you.
Called Free iPad 2 from Best Buy giveaway, Long Live Philosophy, and a tribute to Christian Huygens, a scientist from the 17th century, whose philosophy and work have helped me in my understanding of physics and how to approach the phenomena of our known universe. And that is on what this video is going to be about. Just in case you're wondering who Huygens was, well, he was the first person that showed and explained that light is a wave phenomenon. The person that came with the science we know today as optics, that light is a transverse wave, or operational, an oscillation and energy that is passed on successively along straight paths. Even what we call photons today are not actually particles, but the harmonics or resonant frequencies of this radiation. He also was the first to discover the laws of motion, not Newton, and better than describing gravity, he also operationally explained it. He actually thought that Newton's theory was unacceptable in science, since it didn't offer an explanation. Not to mention that he was the inventor of the pen, among other things like the internal combustion engine. Huygens is not a household name because his philosophy was based on reason and observation, on cognition. In contrast with the one that most scientists have today, that is merely based on perception, empiricism, and largely anti-conceptual. What Huygens called the true philosophy helped me a lot to actually understand physics. Yes, reminded me it is about physical phenomena. Oddly enough, today most so-called physicists think, for example, that the electromagnetic radiation, light, is not a physical wave. I'm going to present to you a glimpse of his natural philosophy in his own words. First, here is an introductory excerpt from his paper, An Essay on the Cause of Gravity. Essay on the Cause of Gravity. Preface. Nature acts in ways so secret and so imperceptible, bringing to earth bodies that are said to be heavy, that any attention or industry that the senses may employ, there is nothing to be discovered. This has forced the philosophers of past centuries not to seek the cause of these wonderful facts on the bodies themselves and to attribute it to some inherent and internal quality which makes bodies go down toward the center of the earth. Or there is an appetite of the parts to unite the whole, which doesn't convey to expose the causes, but assumes obscure and uncomprehended principles. One can forgive those who are content with such solutions in many occasions, but not so much for Democritus and those of his sect, whom had undertaken the pursuit to give reason to all about the atoms, except for the gravity which they have attached to earthly bodies, and to the atoms themselves without inquiring where it could come from. Among the authors and modern restorers of philosophy, although many have found it necessary to establish something outside the body,
So,
cause the
Proper, if you want to comment or something, or something that you disagree, let me know.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, yeah, I am going to rewind it just a little bit here because just that sentence there was just a little bit, it was nice. So let me just do that one a bit. I'm just going to go back 30 seconds.
Such solutions in many occasions, but not so much for Democritus and those of his sect, whom had there is an appetite of the parts to unite the whole, which doesn't convey to expose the causes, but assumes obscure and uncomprehended principles. One can forgive those who are content with such solutions in many occasions, but not so much for Democritus and those of his sect, whom had undertaken the pursuit to give reason to all about the atoms, except for the gravity which they have attached to earthly bodies, and to the atoms themselves without inquiring where it could come from. Among the authors and modern restorers of philosophy, although many have found it necessary to establish something outside the body to cause the attractions and escapes that are observed, yet they have hardly gone beyond these primaries, when they have resorted some to a thin and heavy air, that by pressing the bodies makes them descend, because it is already assumed as a heaviness, and it is very much against the laws of mechanics to want a heavy and liquid matter to press down the bodies that it surrounds. On the contrary, it ought to make them go up, assuming no weight in themselves, just as water raises an empty bottle that's been submerged. Others to the spirits and immaterial emanations, which clarifies nothing, since we get no conception how the immaterial can give movement to a bodily substance. Mr. Descartes has better recognized than those that preceded him that we'll never comprehend nothing of advantage in physics, that we can tell of the principles that do not exceed the scope of our minds, such as those that depend on bodies, considered without qualities, and their movements. But as the biggest challenge consists in the realization of how so many different things are done only by these principles. That is why he's not very successful in several specific issues that he has proposed to examine. which, among other things, in my opinion, this one of gravity. It may be judged from the remarks that I made in a few places on what he has written, in which I should have been able to reach others. And yet I confess that his essays and his views, though false, served to open up the path that I have found in this very topic. I do not give it as being exempt from any doubt, nor to what one cannot make objections. It is rather difficult to go that far in research of this nature. Yet I believe that if the main hypothesis in which I rely on is not true, there is little hope that we can meet it by remaining within the limits of the true and sane philosophy. Besides, what I bring here, being that it concerns to the cause of gravity, does not appear new to those who have read Mr. Roholt's Treatise of Physics, since my theory is reported that.
All right, Superfinger, I'm going to pause it there. I'm going to ask you a little bit. Are you available? Are you there?
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, let's say objectivists get onto this, and a bunch of us go and read esoteric stuff in what, French? Huygens is in French.
Well, this one was in French. It is in untranslated to this day, and I think it's very important.
There are probably
And
objectivists who know French. So
yeah, and so I know just a little bit of French. I had to use Google Translate to translate just the introduction. I'm reading here. I'm reading just the introduction. Yeah, and yeah, but there are some papers that are in English. I guess there are his work on centrifugal forces in English. His work on collision is in English. His work on the pendulum clock is in English. His work on optical is in English. I think that's basically it. But he has lots of other papers that are not, that are untranslated, are either in French or in Dutch. Yeah.
okay, so let's say objectivists go and read or watch the stuff and find basically that you're right, that Huygens used proper epistemology and Newton didn't.
Mhm.
So what more does Huygens offer us in substance than just his epistemology? What extra did he teach us?
Well, yeah, you have his epistemology and basically his physics. He has some pretty very interesting and clear definitions of light, of the properties of light, right? Refraction, and all that. He has a very good, interpretation of gravity, of the laws of gravity that kids can learn easily, that adults can learn easily, and go from there. So that's basically it. He was an engineer and a mathematician and a physicist. He wasn't really a philosopher, but he considered himself as a philosopher. Actually, he has a very good book on space and on what we could find out there in space about lives on other planets. And this is from the 1600s, and he was just dead on. Yeah, I think that was the last book that he wrote, that was mostly on philosophy and speculation. And I think that book didn't get published. It get published. It got published after his death.
Mm-hmm.
So and also I'm glad, because I guess in 300 years or 400 years, I'm sort of like the first that is giving voice to his work on the cause of gravity. So, but there are lots of things that people could learn from Huygens. And on in his papers, he always comes from explains it in a philosophical manner. He doesn't go in dry, without explaining the reasons, the philosophy, how he got to that conclusion. So it's always on point. A very good work of his that I would recommend for beginners is a treatise on light. It's on the Gutenberg archive. Have you heard of that
Uh-huh.
that site? Yeah, he's on there. You can download the paper. It's fully illustrated, and it has, and if you read it, you'll get his philosophy. You'll get his geometry and mathematics. So it's pretty good stuff.
Hmm.
You know. Yeah.
All right. So,
Like, for example, if you go ahead and read the Principia, oh man, Principia is just a bunch of equations and shallow remarks, but his stuff, on the contrary, are philosophical and scientific.
so
And
no, go ahead.
so and his writings don't have any type of mysticism. He doesn't he doesn't assume things, or assume that you know this, or give you empty conceptions. It's just on point.
Now, are you saying Newton does assume things, or assume? Are you
Well,
saying
sometimes his ideas are not self-contained. So it leaves you guessing.
now, if
Go ahead.
objectivists have a particular thesis to gain, do we lose by studying only Newton?
I think it's basically the epistemology and how he arrived to his equations and conclusions. So with Newton, you just learn about the mathematics. You don't learn about the physics in the true term of the word. In the true definition of the word, about the physics. It's not only about the mathematics.
Right.
The mathematics is only a way to sort of put into words the relationships in nature, the processes. It's not about explaining the actual physics.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and press play, and we'll finish it. So about
Okay.
3 minutes
Yeah.
left.
There almost entirely. For this philosopher, it's almost an experiment of the world in water. And having understood the application that I was doing, as he ingeniously acknowledges, found sufficient probability, in my opinion, to want to follow it. But because in my thoughts, he in no way mixes those of Mr. Descartes and his own, and that he omits many things that concern this matter, of which he could know of, I'm well satisfied we saw it as I have treated myself. To find an intelligible cause of gravity, it must be seen how it can be done. We only think to be in nature the bodies that are made of the same matter, in which we don't consider any quality nor any inclination for them to approach one another, but only the different sizes, figures, and movements. How? So it can be that, however, many of these bodies tend directly toward the same center, and have stayed gathered around it, which is the most ordinary and the main phenomenon that we call gravity. The simplicity of the principles that I concur does not leave much choice in this research, since we consider first of all that there is no appearance attributes on the figure, nor the smallness of particles. Some effect similar to that of gravity, which being an effort or an inclination for movement, must probably be produced by a movement. So the only way is to find in what way it could act and in what bodies it can be encountered. Simply regarding bodies, without this quality we have called gravity, their movement is naturally straight or circular. The first is concerned when they move without hindrance, the other when they are held around a center, or that they turn on their own center. We know in no way the nature of straight movements, and the laws that bodies hold in the communication of their movements when they meet each other, as much as we consider just this sort of movements and the reflections that occur among parts of matter. We don't find anything that determines them to go toward the center. We must therefore come necessarily to the properties of circular motion and see if there is one that could serve us. And this concludes this short video on the philosophy of science. I'm planning to make a part 2 on this same subject, but for now I'm out of time. Well, till next time.
All right. Do you want to say anything about the end there, where you wrapped it up? Do you want to expand or anything on that, or?
Yeah. Well, at the end, I think the translation wasn't so good. It got a little bit dense, right?
No, it
Like,
was
yeah.
fine. But go ahead if you want to
Okay.
say
Yeah.
anything.
So basically, he found out that gravity is basically a rotational movement. Sort of like a spiral. It's something, the ether or something that is precipitating into matter. You know. So that's what he found out.
Gravity is a spiral shape.
Yes, it's a movement that describes a spiral from all directions, though. You know, it's like the Earth is sort of like a vacuum, and everything is attracted to it. So that's how things get attracted to the Earth. You know.
All right. Well, that's interesting. And I have seen graphs of the Earth in time, the Earth, Moon, Sun system in time. And it reminds me of that we see physical things, but in the background there's more going on than just the physical thing. The physical thing exists, as you say, in a spiral.
Yeah, like the movements that matter describe are usually spirals. For example, take the orbit of a planet around the sun, for example.
Yeah.
It wants to describe a spiral, but since there's also the centrifugal force, it doesn't fall. Like the centrifugal force prevents it from falling into the star. But if something is falling to say a meteor is falling to a planet, it wants to describe a spiral before it gets to the center. It doesn't want to go straight down. It's
Right.
it always wants to rotate around the planet and go down gradually.
Right.
Yeah. So that's basically what he explained, and he shows it with water. How, for example, if you have like a spiral in water, the more heavy things, they don't go into the center of the spiral. They orbit around the spiral because the centrifugal force makes them stay there. Because of the force that makes them rotate, and the force of the centrifugal force prevent them from going into the middle of the spiral. You know. So
Right.
he showed like for like how planets orbit, and he has a very very famous formula on that, the formula for centrifugal force. You
Right.
know, like from the top of my head right now, I can't remember. I might be wrong, but I think it's I think it's uh, well, I can't remember right now, but it gives you the exact acceleration that you need to orbit a planet, for example.
Newtons. Or
No, no, that no,
Huygens.
that's Huygens. Look up Huygens formula for acceleration, for centrifugal or centripetal acceleration. So yeah, so that's a very it's a very variable handy formula if you are calculating that kind of stuff.
Now, so for objectivists who want to study this, is it sort of for objectivist history buffs, or is it
No,
more than
no.
that? Like, I mean,
For history buffs, for people that want to understand physics better, beyond the just equations out of nothing mentality.
I mean, let's say, these are objectivists. So let's say they've read Harriman's Logical Leap,
Mhm.
and so they understand quantum mechanics is nonsense, and they understand methodology and
Yes.
posterior analytics by Aristotle and these things.
Mhm.
What more do we get from Huygens? I mean, I'm not against studying things off to the side a bit, but is it going to be a central lesson? Does it have something substantive to add, or is it just sort of he's better than Newton and everyone's going to read it and say, yeah, that's true, he's better than Newton, but we didn't really get too much more than that? You see what I'm driving at?
Yeah, I'm seeing. I think the thing that people can get from it is that it shows you the true nature of physics. You know, it explains you the equations in a philosophical matter, in coming from an epistemologist. You know, so it's very cogent. I think that's something that you get from it.
Okay.
You know, like with the Principia, you would lose people very quickly with the Principia. You know, but with for example with the treatise of light of Huygens treatise of light, it will be a very interesting read. You know, it's not a dry paper. For the contrary, it's full of philosophy and poetry. You know, it's pretty good. I don't know if you noticed, but on the introduction, it's very poetry like. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't rhyme, but it's very he uses metaphors. He chooses his words very well. You know, so
Interesting. Right.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and with Newton, you don't really find that. So,
hmm.
yeah.
Well, you should brush up on this a bit, and I don't know. Maybe we'll have you on the Todd Reinhardt show for a 10-minute segment, because we're
Yeah.
doing like 10 to 15 minutes with a given guest every week, and our
Yeah.
viewers are into very, very heavy stuff like this. So
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like I could show up, for example, passage of the Treatise of Light, you know, or the passage of the like in the video of the introduction, and give people an actual concrete example of an equation derived from epistemology and physics and the movement of matter. You know, that would be pretty interesting. I actually, right now, I can think at the top of my mind a great passage that explains to people how light is propagated. You know, that light are not flying particles. You know, so that's something that would be very interesting to show on the show.
that'll be good. Actually, just this afternoon, I was talking to Todd, and he said, "Is light a wave or a particle?" Because he and I were getting. He's he does a little bit of thinking about physics, but he isn't a specialist. And
Yeah.
I've done more thinking about physics, but I'm not a specialist. So when we get together and start talking, it's a real hoot, because neither of us know very much.
Well, but from the philosophical level, your discussions on physics are very very interesting. You know?
Yes, and what's interesting about that, I think, I mean, we have to admit that Democritus was wrong. There were not little teeny pieces that were indivisible. We have not found that to be true. So he was wrong. He didn't have any evidence for that. He just deduced it. He was wrong. But
Yeah.
he was sort of right, wasn't he? There are these little teeny things, and we even call them by the name he gave them. So if that's true, then someday they'll look back and say, Mr. Cropper was right. The world evolved just like animals. And they'll say, he didn't have any evidence for it, so he was kind of a moron walking around saying it, but he was right.
But I think it's a principle that can be proven logically. You know, so like for example, the atom principle. I think it was a well thought out principle. You know, he didn't get into the details, but I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm okay with that idea. You do get yourself into a lot of trouble with it, saying you can figure out a principle and ignore reality. You get in a lot of trouble that way. So,
Oh, okay, yeah, but
I mean, that's
but
proposing, right?
say again, please.
You're proposing that we deduce a principle or come up with a principle, and we're not worried too much about reality at the edges. Like Democritus, he came up with his logical principle. Didn't need reality, didn't need evidence, etc.
No, I think we do need reality to come up with those principles, but you can't because we have what is called I kind of actually forgot what it's called. You know, it's kind of late, but we have abstract cognition, and that enables us to make very broad principles that can be proven. Like for example, I don't understand the workings of a car, right? But I can tell you for sure when a car is working and when a car is not. You know, so that's a cognitive abstraction.
Okay.
And for example, I can tell you like a very broad principle. I know that matter doesn't come from nothing. So that's another very broad principle.
Right.
And actually, that's a very important thing in human thought, because that way we can make something very complicated into something simple, you know, with the power of cognitive abstraction. We could
Example
we
of
could
that.
we can group things, we can group things and come up with the general principle of something, and we know that when something goes out of that principle, that is wrong. So it's something that a lot of people nowadays seem unaware or incapable of doing it, and they just think in particulars. They don't think on the on the principles.
Oh, well, I mean, that's people can't even. Can you believe how short people's ability, their attention span is? I mean,
Yeah.
you and I can sit here and talk about things for several minutes. Have you tried to interject a meaningful sentence into a regular conversation and had people just interrupt and start talking about sports or something? And have you had that experience?
Yeah. Most of the time, they phase out very quickly.
Yeah.
They, So one time, a guy said that people have the not normal. Most people have the attention span of a small rodent. So
Yeah, it's about right.
yeah. So he said that mocking, I think, the reaction kind of people. The kind of very stupid stuff that we find on YouTube nowadays. You know.
Yeah, a lot of people act that way, though. I had a friend who said that he learned about the way people act from his goldfish. His goldfish would swim into the little castle, look around, swim out, go around a little bush, come back over, and then act like you'd never seen a castle before and swim back in. It's like, what's going on in here? You were just in there a second ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable. And I've noticed too that nowadays people think in buzzwords. And those words are not connected logically. It's just a buzzword, and it brings you a certain emotion, and that's all you care about. You don't try to see if that buzzword has any substance. It's just a buzzword.
Yeah, not only that, I think they're just posing to you when they use the buzzwords to try to seem like they're up on the current jive or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that too. Yeah.
Oh, it's pathetic. Objectivists are the only game going in all town. The whole town, we're the only thing.
Yeah, we are the ones that are preserving reason.
Yeah, we're the only ones practicing it, for Al's sake.
Yeah, like take the time of Huygens, for example. There were people. It was in fashion for you to visit friends and talk about philosophy. And I think they would be very disappointed if they were to time travel into 21st century and find out that now people are so vapid and ignorant. So
Yeah, they would want us to have advanced a little bit, right?
yeah, exactly.
Good hell,
But
we disappointed them.
yeah, but I hope that at least now we've learned a few things. So maybe next time we go in the rationality route, we can use those things to not derail again.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, God, I heard a terrible, bizarre thing. Some senator or something said, what did non-whites ever do for civilization? And you describe yourself as mulatto, half black, half white?
yeah, you could say, yeah, I'm a mulatto. Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and make all of the irrational viewers very uncomfortable and just sit here and talk like two rational people about all that stuff? I'm just a white guy, so people aren't going to take anything I say too seriously because I'm white, so they can dismiss it. But why don't you talk a little bit about your views on these things? Just speak for a second, and I'll banter back and forth.
Okay, like about people that, for example, the anti-white movement or something.
No, there's not only that, but there's an answering movement, which is anti-black, which is coming back.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've noticed. I don't know if you know the guy Fringe Elements.
No, familiar.
Well, Fringe Elements, he was he was, you know, he was in the circle of objectivists and libertarians and anarchists for a while, but I don't know if he's out of YouTube now. But he was he has a pretty good influence with the guys in the anarchist camp. You know, he wasn't a racist at the time when I was watching him. Like, do you know the guy that was an objectivist? That right now he has some sort of psychological problem. Ryan,
Yeah, cute.
Qtron Man, exactly.
I saw
Like,
that earlier.
yeah. And Qtron Man would go in arguments with fringe elements. And at that time he wasn't a racist, but right now he's sort of like, you know, white supremacist kind of guy, and he's advocating about that. You know, he's you know, advocating the things about the IQ of blacks, how whites are superior, and how white blacks and whites should be segregated, you know, and stuff like that.
See, we need to start having a conversation about that, because just because Chinese and Japanese people have the highest average IQ on the planet doesn't mean everybody else should be segregated away and put in camps.
Yeah, exactly. And even if the IQs of certain people are higher, the, you know, your culture, your education, you know, your social environment has a, you know, a pretty good effect on how you think and how you behave.
Yeah, it must have a big effect, or else Europe would be, you know, China would have come and taken over Europe and colonized.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at China, there are all sorts of you know, insanities going on there. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, Chinese people, like the ones that live in China, most of them are pretty conceited and ignorant, and, you know, and just plain violent sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
broadly educated. I'm.
Yeah, exactly, with no respect for human life.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead and keep talking. I interrupted and yeah. So this is good stuff, because we can have a rational conversation. There's all these people out there who think that race has to divide people.
Yeah, and in reality, the racism is just another division that separates people, you know, and brings out all kinds of problems. Like right now, for example, another division that they're coming out with is sexism. You know, with the feminist movement, I would say even with the MGTOW movement, you know, it's just separating people.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get deep in the sexism thing, and I say that let's have a country where it doesn't matter who the leader is, he can't violate your rights anyway. So let's not worry too much about who our leader is. We can vote in any old leader we want. It doesn't matter too much, because we've got a constitution, we've got courts, we've got
exactly. And if the leader is only there, you know, to protect our rights, you know, our
rights. He's just there to run the army.
Okay, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Maybe to manage the army and stuff like that.
Yeah, which protects our rights. So yeah, you're right, in a tangential way. But ultimately, he's just sort of there hanging around in case something happens that he needs to attend to. He's not busy every day. He doesn't have a big bunch of stuff on his plate. We run our lives. We take care of ourselves. You know.
Yeah. I mean, the leader would fall into the background. You know.
Exactly, but we don't have a country like that. But if we did, that would be then okay. Let's say we prove that women tend to vote for socialists. Well, you can't vote for socialists in our country because you can't take anybody's money away, and that's what socialists do. So socialists take money away. Everyone here cannot take anyone's money away, so you can't vote a socialist. So there doesn't matter. So now, who would women vote for if you made it illegal to vote for socialists? Then
you know, then I guess they like the parasites. They would leave. They would lose interest in politics. Not, I mean, when I say parasites, I mean women and men. You know.
Right. Whoever the parasites were would lose interest in politics, but there would still be women voters, and they would vote for someone. So we can't say women always vote for socialists, I don't know, maybe they tend to when there are socialists available, but that's a problem with society. That's not a problem.
Yeah, with the gender, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's a, it's a, bad generalization to say that women would inherently vote for socialists. I think it's the culture. It's the
yeah, you're right. It is yeah, you couldn't. You would have to go a long ways to prove that that was because of women. You
yeah.
would, but well, let's say you did prove that it was because they're women. Okay, let me give you an example of why women would vote for socialism and men wouldn't tend to vote for socialism. This is like broad philosophical from evolutionary theory, so get your objectivist thinking hat on, okay?
Okay.
Women sit at home and protect the children. Men go out and build border walls and fight wars, okay? Now, just put that in your pocket. Don't worry too much about that. What about the fact that sometimes women are traded between tribes? Are men traded between tribes? I think we've mentioned this before in Hangouts.
Well, I guess not really, but I guess they were traded as warriors, maybe. Like
no, because why would you want to bring a potentially very intelligent and strong alpha male into your society? What might he do?
Well, yeah, I guess it'd be a competition for the leaders of that tribe.
Yeah, so they wouldn't want males to come. So they would love to have females.
Yeah, I guess. But what about the women in the tribe? They wouldn't want competition too, right?
No,
but they had no say, I guess.
No say at all. No, it's a man's world. In our little scenario, at least, it's a man's world. So, so there you are. Women.
Well,
now this is a long history that we've gone through. Women are it's in their genes that they are used to going to the next tribe over and just adopting that as their new family.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with it? So men are not used to this. It's not part of their gene structure or whatever.
But that's the thing. I don't think that is written in the genes. Maybe in the culture of the time, yes, but not in the genes, because our species is not that old, especially the Homo sapiens sapiens, and for example, and in some primates, in some groups of primates, we can see that sometimes the female has a pretty strong role in the pack, if you will,
Sure.
So I'm not really sure about that, because it could be the case, but I think it's more of a cultural thing, or I don't think it's it's in our genes that women behave that way, but I'm not sure. And even if that was the case, nowadays we are living in a more rational rational times, and I think reason would trump that.
Well, okay, it may trump it today, but it might help us understand a little bit of what's going on today if we understood the fact that women were traded between societies and men weren't traded. So
yeah, it could have an effect, but I don't think that effect would be like a major thing.
well, let's say the effect is not very major. Let's say it's kind of small. That women just have a really strong tendency to care most about their immediate family and not really a lot about the larger tribe. Because they're always being separated from their larger tribe.
Okay.
So their immediate family is extremely important to them. For men, the larger tribe's extremely important. They don't necessarily have an immediate family. Some of them won't even ever get a wife and will never reproduce. So for the men, the larger tribe is very important. For women, their immediate family is the most important thing. They can trade tribes. That happens. Men don't trade tribes. Women do. So just as a broad category, there you are. So when women are offered a vote in the voting booth, we're going to take care of your family. That's more important to women than to men. Men say, fuck you, I don't want you to take care of my family. I've got that covered. Women are like, wouldn't it be nice if I had some bananas every week for the baby?
Yeah, I guess they could think about that.
All right.
But
I equivocated for like 10 minutes, and you stopped me like 10 times, and you kept trying to stop me, but I made it all the way through my lousy equivocation, and I ended up at a lousy conclusion. Peter, welcome in, Super Fin guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think, like, for example, like all humans, for example, have the tendency to follow orders, or to follow others blindly, you know, and in some way we can go over it by being rational, by thinking for ourselves. So I think even if that is the case, I think, yeah, we can, work around it, and we shouldn't judge people based on that.
And we should also set up a political system where they could make pretty bad decisions, and it still wouldn't affect us very much.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it would be parasite proof.
Yeah, we want a system that will go for 200 years without anyone being able to screw with it very much. We don't want a system that can change every 5 years.
Yes.
Anyways, Peter, welcome. You're in Australia. You have the advantage on us. For us, it's not early. For you, it's like, what, 7 a.m. or something?
Even that?
4 p.m.
Oh, okay. Not that bad. I gotta get my. For me, the rest of you people are all floating in a universe of strange times. I should just look at a map sometimes and try to concretize where these things are and what my time relative is. But, anyways, welcome to the thing. Do you bring a dirty limerick or anything for us?
No dirty limericks. I'm sorry. I have failed you. What time is it there? 2 a.m.
3.
3 a.m. Damn.
Let me see. 2:21. Yeah, that's reasonable. I started this after a short nap, so I'll just.
Yeah. Me too. I just.
This is what I'm busy with. So.
Yeah.
I'm making a model of the local town for a restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, Peter, sorry about the. Were you in on the thing that got crashed last week? Sorry about the room getting crashed.
I saw that, but I wasn't in there. No, I saw that on the recording that they they got gate crashed. And
listen, we got to come up with a game plan of what to do with these hangouts. You two are regular enough. I don't want to put you on a leash and make it. I don't want to say you have to come in the future or anything, but say you guys want to be objectivists of some kind publicly. Let's just assume that. This is a stepping stone. What can we do? Because these idiots come in, godless kafir and stuff. How do we treat them? These hangouts are obviously good, and they're going to be, like I look at Piro's hangout, and people are waiting and trying to get into it.
Wow.
And I've just started mine a month or two ago, so.
Yeah, and it's getting more and more popular.
Exactly. Yeah. Look at.
Actually, the one from Saturday, it got 700 views.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, they never come on and hear us talking about unsubstantive stuff, like how much you spend on toilet paper. Well, once in a while, but mostly we stick to good stuff. So. My question is, how should we treat these people that pop in? I like treating them as though we're the overviewer and they're in an ant farm and they don't understand what's going on. Should we be a little meaner and punching bag to them? Because they always end up, they don't make sense in the end anyway. Like if they're rational, they'll come back no matter what we do. I don't know. I'm in a debate about this because I sure like to be mean to him. The spook sure pisses me off, and I told him that every time he opens his mouth, it disorganizes everybody's brain in the room, and he should shut up. So,
Yeah, yeah, I've noticed with with leftists, sometimes they do that. They like to confuse people, you
Yeah,
know.
it's like just if you would just shut up, everyone else could get a few thoughts out, but you keep opening your mouth. So and it's nice to say things like that, and that's fun and stuff. But what should these hangouts be? What are they worth? What should we do in them? I'm a little confused, and I'm wondering how much time I should spend in them, and if I should just go make videos and forget these fucking hangouts. I don't. I'm a little confused about what. You guys tell me what you think of what's going on in here.
Well, like for example, in the case of the Marxists and leftists and nihilists, I think that we should be kind of mean to them when they start being mean, when they start calling names and tossing ad hominems. I think that's when we should counterattack, because at that point, if they make empty assertions, the only thing that would deliver the pun is if we call them names too. I think.
All right, so be civil when they're civil, and if
Yeah,
they're nasty, then we get nasty.
yeah, we get nasty, exactly.
All right.
I think there was one. I think the very first one that I came on. I can't remember his name. Is it the guy with the ninja thing? Is it Vic? I can't remember. Yeah. I felt like he kept saying the same thing for like 5 hours, and it really kind of derailed the whole thing. It was quite tiresome. So that kind of thing, we need to find a way around.
Okay, now
one
listen.
person asserting, and they're like talking 80% of the time, and they're saying the same things. And
now you're right, absolutely right. I noticed the exact same thing about him. But now let's realize, and I'm just playing in my mind. I'm not overviewing this conversation. I just came up with this just now. Let's realize that Vic is possibly an early participator, the way you guys were 3, 5, 8 years ago, whenever you started watching me. And so, do we dismiss him and say, Vic, you always just repeat shit, shut up? Or do we point out to him, Vic, you need to freshen up your argument? How much patience do we have with him is what I sort of. But Vic might be one of us if we're careful, I mean.
Yeah, I don't think he's corrupt or anything. I think that there needs to. I don't even know how we would do it, but there needs to be a sort of leash on someone taking over the whole thing with their constant thing. And I kind of feel like, in a way, I didn't really have very strong arguments against what he was saying, because I couldn't think of them at the time, and I couldn't identify exactly what it was he was saying. And that's one of the downfalls of on-the-fly philosophy. But one of the great things about this chat is that we get arguments against our positions instantly that maybe we wouldn't have thought of, and then it forces us to think deeper about our own how we see our own philosophy. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I don't think Vic is. I think he's squarely utilitarian. But what annoyed me was when he started self-congratulating and saying, I'm the open-minded one. You people don't care. And I mean, he couldn't even see it. And then he was saying that we're changing the definition of morality. That kind
He's the one doing that.
Yeah, and well, utilitarianism is a position, so that's fine. But yeah, he kept. I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but it was like he's the open-minded one here, and we're closed-minded, and we don't care about evidence and that kind of thing. Like, he started to basically imply that we are, we're just sort of irrational people who don't care. And I wouldn't say that about him. I always try to assume that the person is is honest and rational and is just misled. I mean, that's what I try to do. But it really pisses me off when the person doesn't do the same for me.
No, Peter, that's your first downfall. You need to get over that. You always jump to assume that they are trying to kill babies in large numbers and accuse them of that, and then
yeah, I've noticed that about you, Brandon.
kick them in the ribs. They fall down, kick them harder.
But yeah, I don't know, like.
Well,
also,
I think we should have a host like Brandon.
Maybe,
I think you're a very good host.
if you
ever
listen
you're
to
not
like Joe
here,
Rogan.
it's just a quick point. Like when you're not here, the guys they talk over you and they go on for ages. So
Yeah. There needs to be at least one person. I guess that means when Brandon goes, the chat just has to end. But have you ever seen like a good podcast series like the Joe Rogan Experience? There seems to be like a direction for the conversation, and there's like, I mean, they will literally talk about anything. But one of the other things is there's only like 2 or 3 people, maybe 4 at max. If there's 6 or 7 people, I mean, the other day we were in here, and I think it was Tony and Gentle Chaos were talking back and forth amongst themselves basically for a long time, basically about the same thing, and Tony trying to defend that he's actually a good person and that when he calls someone a bum it's justified, and it was just really getting really just like, guys, just move on, this is so stupid.
Right.
But you can't really, I mean, if you, like I had nothing to say, I think nobody else had anything to say. It was a conversation between them two over their issues that they're dealing with. And
there needs to be some semi-sober person in the room to draw a line and say, all right, knock it off, let's move on, or something.
For me, it's difficult to talk over people, but if you're the kind of person in these chats that is happy to just interject and take over and keep talking, then you'll get a lot more words in than someone else. And when I have conversations in real life, I tend to ask a question and then I like to listen a lot, and I like to let that person explain, and then I will try usually to come up with a question that will force them to defend their position more, even if I agree with them, because I like to see how they justify themselves.
Well, that's because you're light years ahead of these people, so you can't expect the other people in our rooms to do that. They have to jabber, and let someone.
Then I don't get like much of my word in, and then
they're hoping someone like you is within earshot to straighten out their nonsense once they shut their mouth.
Yeah,
but when there's 3 people, it's nice. I like this kind of dynamic. 4 is good, but then if you want to keep it to 4, then you've got to basically stop other people. And like you said, it can be fun when someone wanders in the chat and they have no idea that most of us are influenced by Ayn Rand. So yeah. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Go ahead, Superfin.
Well, I just wanted to say that. Hold on, let me think what I was going to say. But basically, I think these hangouts, they publicize rationality and objectivism to the masses. So I think you should keep doing them, because as for example, as in Google's guidelines for a successful channel, you have to produce content in a very regular manner.
So I think, how can I say this, when we talk to these people who have a completely different idea of ethics, it's very it very quickly devolves into talking past one another, because we come from such different bases, and we as moral rationalists, we need to come up with sort of a quick elevator pitch that can get to the root of why we think what we think, because if we don't, then we'll simply be asserting, and they'll be asserting, and there's not really a conversation about the root of the issues. But one thing I love about these chats is that I've never been thinking and reading about philosophy as much, because you know, I was listening the other day. I wasn't here, but I did hear a little bit of Vic, and he was saying, you know, if you lock yourself in a room with a woman who's unconscious, you know, and you don't hurt her, and you want to fondle her, and it won't, yeah, why isn't that moral for a rational egoist, right? And I thought, oh, it's obviously not. But then, you know, because of her rights. But then I wanted to think, how could I really explain that to someone? And so, how could I really explain why that is wrong when I'm a rational egoist? And so those kinds of questions are good. And actually, I used that question for my hedonistic utilitarian friend, philosopher friend. I asked him that question because in his worldview, if I'm fondling that woman's breasts and she's feeling no suffering and she'll never know, then aren't I increasing aggregate positive experiences? You know, so how can he respond to that? So I think that was actually a somewhat decent question. But other thing we have to worry about is that I think Peikoff talked about empiricists. They can't think on principle, so they will always use an example, or they would always come up with. They can always come up with some arbitrary fantasy, and never get to the principles. And I think that that's what Vic may do sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you are always fighting against his infinite creativity to come up with some, you know, highfalutin scenario.
Like
you go, Superfin guy. Why don't you go ahead? Because you've been waiting.
Like for example, like you'd come up with something that is very short and to the point, right?
Well, I think when we try to discuss things and we use examples, we're using them to illustrate a principle, and then they will take that example and they will only think about the concretes, and they can't think beyond that. So they can't induce a principle from it because they're empiricists. I think they don't. I can't exactly remember exactly how Peikoff states it, but it's something like that.
Whatever it is, the mechanics is that inside their head they have an assumption, and that assumption leads them to dismiss all abstractions, and it leads them to be called an empiricist by us. So the empiricism is just what we call people who ignore abstraction. So the fact that they can't handle an abstraction and they always return to a concrete point that is a D2 type mentality of disintegration is just a factor, is just an artifact of that way of thinking. So
right, yeah. So I think that's right. It may have been in that dim book, but yeah.
Oh, that's that's good stuff. I didn't read the book, but it's good stuff. Okay, so
I think I listened to the audio book. I'm sure I've been over it at least once.
Yeah, well, let's discuss it for just a second, because I kept promising about discussing it about.
Oh, really? Dim, yeah.
Well, I accused someone of being D2 in a hangout, so it'd be nice for me to back up publicly what I was talking about for a minute.
Yeah. Like you've talked about the you know all the 3Ds. I mean how's it called? How Peikoff
D1 and D2, the disintegration, I think.
Yeah, the dim.
The dim hypothesis. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it.
D is disintegration, I is integration, M is misintegration.
All right.
That's
you've talked about it. Actually, I've learned it from you, Cropper.
Oh, good.
I think because it was back in the day when you made a video about it, you know, about the 3 types of people, you know, so.
Yeah, back when I wasn't sure if they were going to write a book about it or not, and I was like, well, let's just tell everybody about it right now.
Yeah, and Peikoff wrote the book. Maybe it was because of your video.
And then they ended up coming out with The Logical Leap, too, after I spent $700 on the audio tapes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe because you're the most outspoken objectivist out there. You know, other objectivists are not. They don't. You know, they're not so public.
Right, but they actually do legitimate articles.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Well,
but
there
very
are other.
obscure
Yeah.
articles. Very
What
So
obscure.
What do you guys think about that? Should I give up on this stuff and go write for the Ayn Rand Institute, or should I?
nah.
No,
Shtick?
not at all. Not at all.
Well, I gotta make a living. Those guys make a living. I don't make a damn living. So
If you want to go make a living, then sure. If,
Yeah, I guess.
because I gotta raise my daughter. Once
Well, I guess
I can. Make,
I guess you could make a living. Like, for example, you could do live events. Like right now, you do hangouts that are only on YouTube, but you could do live events and live Q&As and stuff like that. Lots of YouTubers, they do that, get money, you know.
right.
And people have to buy tickets, you know, you get merchandise, etc. etc.
Well, yeah. What the hell? Good idea, but
Maybe the the State of Mind show will lead to that.
yeah, that's true. I just started that last week. We'll see where it goes. I have
Yeah,
been thinking. I thought I got to put like an introduction, 5-second introduction video or something before my show starts, and that'd probably double my views, you know. And who knows?
yeah, exactly. Like you have to
Pages.
make like teasers, you know, in your channel and link to the show.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's something like that.
I
Yeah.
like that stuff. And for a long time I've just dismissed that stuff, and I've known since 10 years ago that if I just put some little music on the beginning, it'll help my views and introduce it with some letters coming on a screen instead of me saying hello,
Yeah.
proper here.
Yeah.
But
But that's a very good signature though. You know, I mean, it's Mr. Crop there. That's a good identity right there.
That's my
You
thing.
know.
That's my thing.
Yeah. And yeah, we cannot underestimate marketing. You know, right now I work at the marketing company. I make web apps and websites for them, and marketing is very important to get your product to consumers. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
and objectivists cannot underestimate that. I know that unintegrated people I would say normal people, they do that. I think they're pretty good. They are pretty good in marketing themselves. You know. So and we need to learn to do that too.
Yes, but there is a problem of who to market to, and Todd and I are actually having that discussion of who is our audience, because who am I talking to when I'm talking? I mean, so if I'm talking to people who understand philosophy, I've got to dumb it down a bit if I want a lot of them.
But I wouldn't say to dumb it down. I would say to make it simple.
How many of them do I want to reach?
Like I think, like, for example, first the name of the show. I think you should take away the philosophy part. You put like solutions, something. You don't need to remind people that it's a philosophy show, because lots of people, they don't want to be in a philosophy class, at least at first glance.
All right, now I have to say that's all Todd, and I have told him that we should name it the show Only Feminists Hate, or something.
Yeah. Something catchy, edgy,
But
you know.
but you're saying just to improve the show we have, you would say just remove the word philosophy and call it.
Word philosophy, and provide solutions that people provide answers that people are looking for.
Well, who's our audience? Who's our audience?
Well, we could have like a topic.
Yeah, like a topic of the day and stuff. Like
okay, now who's the audience? That is the question that we have to keep coming at. You guys are going to come up with a topic for what audience? Who's the audience? And we haven't even decided. We got 60 viewers last week, so.
Well, last time I checked, it was at 31, but I guess now it's at 60, right?
No,
So-
I said 60 because I haven't checked it, and I was over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I don't know if it's at 60.
3 or 4 of those views are mine because I watched it all the way through twice, and I went and looked at comments. So.
Yeah, I watched it like one time and a half.
There you go. So 2 of those
Yeah.
views.
Yeah, I like the show, but I didn't favorited or liked it because there was way too much, you know, how it's, you know, like I don't like, for example, the way that Todd, you know, talks. He talks like one of those guys at the infomercials or something, and then that I think that puts people off a
I
little
think
bit.
Todd, um, he he's he kind of asserts too much, in my opinion. He needs
Yeah.
to justify more. Like when he was talking to some of those people, he would go on his spiel about things that I probably would even agree with, but I felt like he just was asserting them. And then when they would ask questions, he would kind of uh, dismiss them without justification. I felt there needs to be more reasons. That's why I love Ayn Rand. You never have to. She never says, just trust me. She's always in
Yeah.
her writings explaining very step by step how she's reaching her conclusions.
You know, Peter,
So
I have to give you 10 points right there because a conversation with between Todd and I about this very subject, that is exactly what I said to him was uh, uh, evidence. Everything is the
right,
evidences.
Yeah. No empty assertions.
Yeah, you can't
right.
say a philosophically abstract thing without evidence or without an example of it. And I said examples are evidence. Super Fin guy, welcome to the thing. But 10 guys, Peter, or 10 points, Peter, because
Thanks.
yeah, I mean that is spot on what my objection was. And notice you didn't say like you said you'd agree with everything he said, right?
Yeah, most things he would say I would even agree with.
I mean, he's an objectivist. He's written 2 books.
Yeah.
But
A few things that he said made me cringe, but I
Yeah,
agree with
sometimes.
most. Yeah. Yeah.
well, we could go into
Sometimes.
we could go into him or talk about it. I don't know. Let's not turn it into an anti-Todd thing. It's he's my new.
No.
So, but
Yeah.
like you said, you agree with what he said, but you want a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the
Yeah, because if you make assertion after assertion after assertion with no reason
Yeah.
and with no content, I would say, it gets boring pretty fast.
But it also makes objectivists look like we're just pulling the shit out of our assholes, and that we
Yeah.
have no basis for it. And that's the beauty of the whole philosophy of objectivism, is that it's a scientifically based ethics, and it's based on reality, and we're very reality orientated, which is what really pissed me off when Vic said that we don't care about evidence, which is the exact opposite. We could not be more focused on objective reality. It's in the name.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's very confused to say that, but I think that was his last ditch attempt after hours, and we had really wore him down, and all he had left to say was, "Well, I have evidence and you don't," and that's a very strange position for him to take, but he took it, and there he was with his dick hanging out in public saying that. So, but Vic's a good guy. I hope he comes around again, and so yeah, that's fun to have fun with them. We have a subjectivist communist from Italy joining us.
Yeah.
All right, so four objectivists in a room together. So I tried to do a public philosophy hangout on a Tuesday, and what do I get? Is a bunch of objectivists. So there we go. All right, good times. I'm glad I know I can put a group together that's rational, but how do we get people to drop in here so we can make fun of them?
Well, thanks for the vote of confidence there.
Well, I already said you're the most high IQ Mexican I know of in Australia.
I'm the only Mexican Australian, you know.
So you have no Mexicans over there?
We have no Mexicans. We probably have like a few, but no. don't think I've even ever met a Mexican in my whole life.
You know
So
that
it's just yourself. Yeah.
you know that there are someone in Europe who calls you Italians the Eurospeaks.
Oh, really? The
Yeah.
Eurospeak. Why not the
Because
Spanish?
well, I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's supposed to be
I
the
don't know.
Spanish.
Should be the Spanish, huh? Oh,
Well, I think uh, well, the term, which is a derogatory term, Eurospeak, mainly comes from people in United States, and I don't
Oh,
know,
so
No,
maybe.
you're
because
talking.
of Italians in the U.S.
Yeah, Italians coming to the US. I see. Yeah.
Maybe there's some kind of bias because of the portrait of it.
Gangster
Yes,
mafia.
Italians
Yeah.
imported in America tend to uh,
Run a
have
pizza shop.
some kind of behavior pattern.
Mafiosos, yeah, and
Yes.
Hollywood is to blame for that because sometimes I go to New York and the Italians there are wonderful people.
Well, and then I came to speak to people in other channels, and it came to my understanding some of the prejudices that exist against Italian Americans, which I wasn't aware at all,
Oh, yeah.
because and for example, I came to know some of the more popular slurs against.
Like WAP or I guess.
Well, they
Well,
call
no,
them walk.
that I really knew it because when I watched the Godfather,
Yeah, exactly.
and then there was this word came up sometimes, so I it was sometime I knew that, but for example, I didn't know that there is some kind of underwear shirt with the short sleeves, which is commonly associated with
Wife beater, wife
a
beater, like
wife beater. Yes, I
Yeah.
did, and
like a singlet, like a singlet. Right?
Yeah, singlet.
Yeah.
and so that refers to the fact that this apparently Italian men beat their wives so
Yeah, I've heard
often
that.
that
I've heard that.
that they've cut on it, right?
My philosopher friend that I've talked about is half Italian because there's lots and lots of Italians here. He was born here, speaks English the way I do, but most of his family actually speaks Italian. And he said when he went over to Italy, the way they treat the girls was shocking. Like even the brothers, the way the brothers would treat the sisters, telling them what to do and stuff
Peter,
like that, and the
Peter,
women would just take it. And I was
when,
like, really?
but when did he come here? In
A
what
few
year?
years ago.
A few? How many?
Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe
20 or 30 or
no,
less?
more like 4 or 5. I don't know, something like that.
Okay. And
But
and
I don't know,
he,
Massimo. Have you ever been to a Western country, like another Western country, like an Anglo country? Have you ever been
like
to?
what?
Have you ever been to the US or the UK or Australia?
No.
If you've never been, then maybe you don't know.
uh, uh, I went to some. I went around Europe. Yes.
well, do you know how we treat women in English countries?
It's probably the opposite.
I really cannot see so many differences.
Oh, really?
We treat
Yes.
so well that they invented feminism.
Well, but our women learn very fast from
Yes.
yours.
We
Yes.
don't,
Oh, what? Oh, they were learning, are they?
we don't
Yes.
That's what I said. Like, why do the women put up with it? If the women asserted themselves, the men would crumble in a second, just like they did here.
Well, they are so many more than men, so they by brute force they could take over.
Just by putting the pussy on lockdown, men will come.
Okay, that's a strategy.
Who knows the Greek play?
What? What Greek
Which one?
play?
Trojans.
Which one?
The Trojans.
Superfin guy, do you know it?
Which one?
Like, I don't know.
Which Greek play?
All right. You got? Can you figure out what I'm saying? You don't know what I'm saying. All right. All right.
The
You-
Iliad.
You're objectivist. I couldn't do that to a socialist. I couldn't even try him on that. I'll see you. Give me a second here. Hold on.
What's your
Yeah, I don't know much about Greek.
theater?
Yeah.
All right. Give me a second. You're gonna give me a little. Go ahead and say something. I'll give you. Give me a second.
Okay. You know, Peter, my own wives have my own wife has relatives in Australia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because there's at least 300,000 here, or at least I think it was 300,000 who speak Italian at home. So that's quite a lot for a population of 25 million. It's like,
Well, it's not the case in fact because these people I was talking about are second generation, so they don't speak Italian
yeah,
at home.
yeah. So there's at least 300,000 who speak Italian at home, plus friends of mine, like who's half Italian who speaks English. So there's a lot of ethnic Italians, or half Italians. Like he's half Italian, half Scottish.
But my wife's uncle came directly from Sicily to Australia after the war, the Second World War. So and then he picked up fast with the English language. He learned to speak very well, and taught his daughter and his sons to speak English, not to speak Italian at home.
Yeah,
So-
some of them do that, which is I'm not sure if I agree with that, but that's what a lot of them do, because they want them to be 100% Australian sort of mindset. And
They want them to integrate pretty fast. Like some of them even change their names, their last names.
but my friend is upset that he doesn't speak Italian better, because he wouldn't have spoken English poorly if his parents had spoken to him in Italian, and his sister is like fluent in Italian, and so they're talking in Italian, and he can sort of only pick up bits. So it's kind of sad for him.
Well, they integrated pretty good in Australia. On the other hand,
the Italians do integrate. That's the thing.
On the other hand, we have some relatives in United States, and which
They're not integrated at all.
They are, but the parents, it's a different kind of thing, because, for example,
not as much.
At the same time as this uncle of my wife came to Australia, his own sister came to New Jersey in United States.
Yeah, lots of Italians there.
And
they even have a very specific accent there.
But the fact is that she didn't even learn English in maybe more than 60 years. She never had the chance to speak, because the people around her spoke sort of an Italian language.
That's the problem with those communities, is that they can just have their own little cut off section. And they never
like for example, like Little Italy, in New York and stuff. I noticed that too with Cape Verdean communities. They're very close in.
She didn't even take the nationality, the United States nationality. She remained Italian.
Wow,
and she could stay only because she married an American man.
Right.
She married, which in fact was not American at all, because he was a second generation Hungarian.
No, that's an American. Anyone born in America is an American. Now they're calling them anchor babies, and they're trying to do away with that, which pisses me off because
You know,
beautiful than an American. So.
you know what I wanted to say last time we were talking about languages, which I completely forgot, is how impressed I was at Ayn Rand's learning English to perfection. She came over when she was already an adult, which is it's difficult to learn a language when you're like 21.
Well, don't forget that Slavic people have by nature a natural capacity to learn new languages. It is a proven fact.
Bit of a stretch.
Maybe, but there's more than enough examples of Russians, Polish people who never master the language the way she did. I think that she was particularly good at it, but she grew up speaking French. She was fluent in French. She could read German. She said it was only half a language, but if you can read the language, you know the language. She knew German, so and her native Russian. Then she comes over to America knowing no English. Basically, she was learning for, I don't know, a few months or a year before she came over. And then quickly, in short order, completely masters the language. And the thing is that I thought that when I was reading her books, okay, someone has edited this. This is a Russian woman who wrote this book. There's no way she could write this whole, like 600,000 words and not make any... Not even grammar mistakes. You notice with non-native speakers, they make it's not even grammar, it's just they say things weird or they say things that is awkward. And in French, I do the same thing. Yes, I thought she had editors. I thought, okay, she had editors. But listen to her in conversations. Perfect. She doesn't say awkward things. Her grammar is perfect. It's amazing. And I listened to it, waiting for the errors. And they never came up. And people would say, oh, yeah, but she was here for 20 years. Well, there's plenty of people who have lived in Australia for 20 years who never master it. And the sad thing is that I wish I could have asked her how she did it, as someone who likes to learn languages.
Like for example, Peikoff once said that she was embarrassed of her accent.
Yeah, her accent was not perfect. Yeah, her accent was less than perfect. I'll give it. Yeah, that. I mean, that's part of the fact that she was 21.
Yeah.
All right,
and that was the only thing she couldn't completely master.
I heard that she did try to fix it, but by that stage it was quite difficult. But you never find it difficult to understand her. Her accent is refined enough that it's perfectly, and it's kind of endearing after a little while. You're like, this little Russian lady with this accent.
I think, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was part of her personality. One thing I think makes her speech so clear is because she had her own foreign accent. She wasn't trying to emulate the American accent or anything,
It made me
like
a little irritated. She wouldn't say faith.
Yeah, she got a fast, like French people pronounce the TH sound. Yeah. Well, you don't pronounce it. Yeah.
But the problem is she's fate, and fate is a real word. It's a philosophical word. It's an abstract word. It's a word that people could accidentally put in when she says.
Yeah. Or face, but.
Or face. She tried. She said face, didn't she? Face or force.
Because the only difference between the th and the s is that you push the tongue forward just enough so that it's pronounced on the teeth. Yeah. But it's difficult for some reason. It's actually apparently one of the last things that even native children pick up properly.
And also as a
Italian.
In Italy, when we are taught English in the schools, I remember my English teacher in the middle school. She used to give us slaps on the head if we could. Yes, if we could. So
I disagree with the method.
I tried very hard to not to displease her. So I put extra effort to try to pronounce the uh, alien kind of part of the English language, like the th.
Yeah.
And sometimes I stressed it too much, just
Yeah.
because I was trained to do so, because this teacher was. But she was a good teacher, because yes, she used maybe out of time methods, because but she didn't really hurt us. She just
Yeah.
gave us some on the head, a slap on the
I
head.
went through that. I went through that. Like when I was in primary school, they used to slap us on the palm of the hand with a piece of wood, and it was
No,
really
no, no,
painful.
no.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
damn, finger.
Yeah.
Peter, down
Yeah.
there in
Exactly.
Australia, they never gave you. You didn't get put in the brig or anything. Australia
Oh
must be a
God,
rough place.
they wouldn't dare touch a student. They wouldn't dare.
Okay.
Wow.
Hell would come down on a teacher if they even touched a student.
Well,
They're not even allowed to hug the students.
do you remember do you remember the film Dead Poets Society?
I've never
I've
heard
heard
of it.
about
Maybe
it,
I'm
but
too
never
young.
seen it.
We,
I
wa-
think.
it was a big hit in Italy. It was one of the first movies with Robin Williams. You know,
I love that show. Love it. Move.
he was a teacher in a private school in northern part of the United States there, maybe in the 50s, and they used the coercion methods, physical coercion methods, to punish rebel students there.
Oh, okay.
So it was at the same time in Italy. We abandoned that method.
Yeah.
So we came to the same situation, to not to use violent, so to speak, methods to teach, but in earlier than the Anglo-Saxon world. Because as far as I know, in some English colleges, even as recently as 20 years ago, they still use the stick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
Yes.
remember that. It was dreadful. I hated school because of stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just terrible. I'm so glad it's gone. I was a terrible little student when I was in primary school. I was very, very bad. I would have been beaten so bad. I was disruptive, and I wouldn't, pay attention, and I was always
Sophocles.
getting sent out. So, what's this Sophocles?
Let me do that before we get any further from it, in case viewers haven't forgotten. I was trying to stop, and you guys just kept going like steamrollers. That's good. I like it when you guys come in and can talk. It's better than me sitting here doing limericks. But you guys mentioned, what if the women stopped giving pussy to men? They could control them real quick, right?
I said, yeah, they put it on lockdown.
Neither of these books, and these are the only two books I have on Greek plays on my shelf, neither of them has Lysistrata in it. The Lysistrata is...
Lysistrata.
Yeah, there you go. So do you know the plot? Go ahead if you know it.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember.
So the women wanted the men to stop a war, and the men wouldn't.
Yes,
The women
yes.
refused to sleep with them until the men would stop the war. And then it's a whole play about all the things that...
Oh, really? Is this a Greek play? An ancient Greek play?
Greek play of...
Wow, so the same themes in humanity. So
There
the
are
same...
no original plots. All
So the same...
plots are Greek plots.
Okay.
Before.
Now I
What
remember.
happened? Did they...
It was Aristophanes. It
Oh,
was
it's Aristophanes, and I don't have, neither of these are collections of Greek plays. They're both by particular, Aeschylus and Sophocles. It's Aristophanes who wrote also the clouds, the birds. He's the one where we get cloud cuckoo land, that term. So
So did the men yield to their base
If I
desire?
remember, it went on for a couple of weeks, and they did yield. The women obviously won.
Excellent.
So, and Greece also produced the island of females who needed no males. So
Like the
But
Amazon.
yeah, women.
it was the island of feminists. So they had everything. The Greeks did everything first. We are so late. When we think we've invented things, so late to the game.
I need to maybe learn a bit more about ancient Greece. I don't really know.
Oh, listen,
Much
start
about
with my videos and branch out from there. But that's easy, just listening to Mr. Cropper, because
Yep.
I don't waste time, and I'm not going to give you fluff and nonsense, except when I do. So, all right, well, you guys continue. I just want to interrupt and did that thing about Sophocles. You were talking about Ayn Rand's accents or whatever you're talking about.
I was thinking about the fact that this the steps that Ayn Rand took as the native language and acquired language is concerned is very similar to the one that went through Vladimir Nabokov.
Yeah. Oh, that's another case. But I think
It's very
he was-
similar because he
was
was
he
a
not-
native Russian. Then
Did he not
With
grow
an
up
accent and
speaking English
and
though?
everything.
I thought that he grew up speaking English.
No. Well, maybe he grew up in a very wealthy family, so he could learn languages, but it was not a native speaker.
What? Right. Okay. But
But the
I
fact
think-
is that he, as being not a native English speaker, and nor a French native English speaker, he wrote major literature in French and in English.
yes.
And maybe he wrote one of
Also-
the most important book of the 20th century English literature.
Yes, he
know.
also wrote in French. I forgot about that. That
Yes.
was another case of very talented. But he wrote in all three, which is like,
And
some people can.
he wrote major literature in all three. That's the
Yeah.
fact. I don't remember exactly, but maybe he even came to win some Nobel Prize in a language which is not his own language.
But
I must look up.
I don't recognize the name. What did
He
he
wrote
write?
Lolita.
Vladimir Nabokov.
He wrote Lolita.
Yes.
Nabokov.
The leader.
Lolita,
I
the
haven't heard
book
of it.
about the French teacher who.
Oh my God, you guys! I have to see the funniest thing. Have you seen Lolita?
Which one?
the
There
recent
were
one?
two versions of movie.
Yeah, there's the old black and white one, which is freaking excellent.
Well, but it was by Kubrick.
Yeah. So go ahead and talk for a second. I'll get it put on in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, the book was basically about a relationship with like a 12-year-old girl and this French teacher. And he marries this 12-year-old's wife, 12-year-old's mum, and then the mum dies, and then he has sole custody of this girl, and it's pretty fucked up. But he tried to write it in a way.
She runs
Yeah.
away. She runs away.
Yeah, they try and write it in a way where you
All right.
kind of bad for him.
The scene's gonna start. It's just 4 minutes long. Enjoy, and then I'll stop it, and we can go back. I'm just gonna have a beer and watch this because it's good.
Can a car be crafted?
This will stop in a second. I'm sorry. Once in a while, we have to pay the people who produce stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So this
Well,
is
that's capitalism.
yeah. All right. This is a hilarious clip. It's not profound. It's just hilarious, and it's also inane, but it's hilarious.
Hello. Hello. Are you addressing me? thought perhaps there was someone with you.
No, I'm not really with someone. I'm with you. I didn't mean that as an insult. What I really meant was that I'm with the state police here, and when I'm with them, I'm with someone, but right now I'm on my own. I mean, I'm not with a lot of people, just you.
Well, I wouldn't like to disturb you. I'll leave you alone if you prefer it.
No, you don't really have to go at all. I like it, you know, because I don't know what it is. I sort of get the impression that you want to leave, but you don't like to leave because maybe you think I think it looks suspicious, me being a policeman.
Yes.
You don't have to think that because I haven't really got a suspicious mind at all. I look suspicious myself. A lot of people think I'm suspicious, especially when I stand around on street corners. One of our own boys picked me up the other week. He thought I was too suspicious standing on a street corner and everything. Tell me something. I couldn't help noticing when you checked in tonight. It's part of my job. I notice human individuals, and I notice your face. I said to myself when I saw you, I said, that's a guy with the most normal-looking face I ever saw in my life.
It's very nice of you to say that.
Not a bit, not a bit. It's great to see a normal face, because I'm a normal guy. It'd be great for two normal guys like us to get together and talk about world events, you know, in a normal sort of way.
Yeah, I would like better than that, but I don't have much time.
Oh, it's a pity, because, may I say one other thing to you? It was running on my mind, and I've been thinking about it quite a lot. I noticed when you was checking in, you had a lovely, pretty little girl with you. She was really lovely. As a matter of fact, she wasn't so little kind of thing, but she was fairly tall little. I mean, taller than little, you know what I mean? But she was really lovely. I wish I had a lovely, pretty tall, lovely little girl like that. I mean,
So that is my daughter.
your daughter. It's great to have a lovely, tall, pretty, little, small daughter like that. It's really wonderful. I don't have any children or boys or little tall girls or anything. I know you. Are you married?
Yes, I'm expecting my wife.
May I say something? I thought you was looking a little uneasy at the desk there, and maybe I was thinking that you want to get away from your wife for a little while. I don't blame you. If I was married, I'd take every opportunity to get away from my wife.
No, that is not it at all. As a matter of fact, it's quite possible that my wife would not join me because when I left home, she was not very well.
Oh, gee, what was the matter with your wife?
Well, there's nothing, but she had an accident.
Oh, gee, she had an accident. It was really terrible. I mean, fancy a fellow's wife having a normal guy, his wife having an accident like that. What happened to her?
She was hit by a car.
Gee, no wonder she's not here. Gee, you must feel pretty bad about that. What's happening? Is she coming on later or something?
Well, that was the understanding.
What, in an ambulance? Gee, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say it. I get sort of carried away, you know, being so normal and everything. Tell me, when you were standing there at the desk checking in with the night manager, Mr. George Swine, who I happen to know is a personal friend of mine, I was wondering...
All right, I don't know if... I think it's hilarious. I don't know if I need to let it go on. Do you guys want to see the remaining 2 minutes?
Yeah, let it.
Do you want to see the rest? It's just, he just keeps saying that he's a normal guy until the end. It's basically a scene where he says normal guy 99 times. You've seen the whole scene now. Do you want to see the last? He's got 3 or 4 more witty bits, but do you have 2 minutes in your life to spare?
Sure.
Okay.
He picked you up with sort of good accommodation here.
Yes, they were extremely cooperative.
You're quite sure about that? Because, I mean, I could really easily have a word with George Schwein. I mean, he's a really normal, nice sort of guy, and I've only got to have a normal word in his ear, and you'd be surprised what things could happen from a thing like that. I mean, he'd probably go and turn some of the troopers out so you could have a lovely room, a bridal suite for you and your lovely little girl.
No, please, I don't want you to take any trouble on my account. We're perfectly comfortable.
But he should do it. It's his job to fix you up with something nice. I mean, you know, he gets paid for doing that thing, and I mean, when he sees a guy like you coming in all normal and everything with a lovely little girl, decided, man, he should say to himself, gee, I got to get that guy a lovely, sort of comfortable, foamy bed to sleep in. I mean, you know, I just don't like to hear things like that happening because I could go over and really take a swipe at him for not giving you a lovely, comfortable, sleepy, movie-style bed. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, what has he got you on the floor or something?
Well, the little girl is probably asleep already in the bed, and I don't know why we're discussing this.
Listen, why don't you let me have a look at the accommodation that you have now and really take it in for a second, then I can come down and have a word with George Schwein. It'd be so simple.
You really shouldn't worry about it.
You know, you can ask me.
I think that I should go upstairs.
You're going because you maybe think that me being a policeman and everything, I think you're sort of suspicious. I don't think that at all. I think you're really normal and everything. I don't have to go because of that.
No, it's been very nice talking to you.
Yeah, listen, before you go, I was wondering whether maybe in the morning, you know, me being lonely and normal and everything.
No, we don't have to get up at the crack of dawn.
Breakfast with me, perhaps. Would you like that?
Very nice of you.
I can arrange that with George Swan, the night manager. You could have it laid out already.
Oh, thank you so much. Good night.
You have a most interesting face. Good night.
All right. I remembered him as saying you have a very normal face at the end, but he said he had a most interesting face. So I'll have to remember that. I thought he said a very normal face, but anyway.
As long as there is there is some kind of feedback. As long as I like Philip Mason, I think was the actor doing the Professor Humboldt. As Philip Mason,
Okay.
Peter Mason. I don't remember his first name. Mason. He was a very fine actor, and it shows in this scene. But the scene was completely stolen by Peter Sellers, which is a fucking genius.
They were both really good. They were both really, really, really good.
In a different way, yes, they are really. But you know, Peter Sellers is on a different level from any other actor, in my opinion.
Just so the viewers know, he's the one whose face was in the camera, not the one who was in the background.
Yes, he was Peter Sellers in the foreground. In the background, you have Philip Mason.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Philip is his first name. But a word of advice, Mr. Cropper. I think you might put some copyright advice on the description of the of the video, because sometimes the Hollywood major production give people shit for putting even small clips in the videos.
You know, they did that to my German Jihad video. They took out a little 10-second clip I did from a History Channel thing. And I recorded it on my digital camera from the television, so it was terrible quality. And then I downloaded it onto my Mac and uploaded it through YouTube. So it was like 4th generation from my TV. And they found it and deleted that 10-second clip out of my video.
Well, isn't there a fair use policy though? I don't know how it works.
Well, like fair use is like it's not mandatory that they respect fair use.
I guess it would be that I could quote them on that, but I couldn't show the video, I guess. I don't know. But hey, I want to welcome Pink Hair T fan Saint Sailor Moon. We know you. You're from around the block here. What are you doing in here? Welcome to the jig. You know, we're here doing philosophy, so what are you up to tonight? Is Saint Sailor Moon available on mic and so on?
I think he's not around.
Yeah, maybe we should carry on because we're familiar with the gentleman. He's a friend of mine.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. What are you up to tonight? If you want to say hello or whatever. Or we'll just carry on, you know. I'm probably the only one drinking. Am I the only one drinking? You fucking sober bastards.
Yeah.
You know why I wasn't on the last 2 days? Because I drank too much Sunday, so I didn't drink for 2 days straight. I didn't drink a drop.
Well, for example, I became sort of a teetotaler. Is it correct, the word teetotaler?
No.
Teetotaler?
Yeah.
What?
Teetotaler?
Why'd you
like a guy who doesn't drink even a drop of alcohol.
You got bored with having fun and partying, or what? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Trouble. No one should do it.
I had to because of health issues, you know.
Oh, okay.
God damn it! I see those coming. They're down the road. Probably starting tomorrow. No,
like,
so why did you drink then?
Because I liked it.
Okay, yeah, all right. I mean, you know, and here's the thing I like about it. You're at home of a night. All you've got's Mr. Cropper's channel to amuse you. So you have a few beers, and it's a small party with you and Mr. Cropper, and you have good laughs, and you fall off your chair laughing, and it's a good time. And all you need is a few beers and yourself alone, and you're better amusement than a bar. You go to a bar and you feel like, what are these losers doing here? Oh shit, they're just like me. So you have to leave the bar, and then you go home and feel even more lonely because there's people at a bar having fun. So just ignore all that, have a few beers, and have fun.
Yeah, if you want girls, don't go to the bar. Just talk to them in real life.
I don't know what to do about girls.
I miss sometimes. I went to bars for years, but there were bars in which I knew everybody there, you know. So it was sort of like an extension of my own house, because all the guys there were acquaintance friends. So
Yeah. It's the local
watering hole,
pub or
yes.
yeah.
The local place to go, but then I had this kind of problems with drinking and eating. I had some kind of eating disorder, you know, nutritional problems. So I say goodbye to the guys in the bar one day and said, guys, I cannot come anymore because the doctor is giving me shit.
Not even to drink juice or something.
Congratulations on making that decision, though.
Yeah.
Good job.
Sorry.
But not even for juice.
Well, you know, there is a saying, far from the view, far from the, you know, how can you say?
Okay, yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yes, out of sight, out of mind. So, so and I must confess, I must say also that you couldn't really eat juice in this kind of bar, you know. If you
would look like
they automatically treat you as a faggot if you do something like that.
Yeah. They say to you, yeah. Now you think you're superior or something because you're not drinking.
Even if they know you, if you just try that, you are in for a 1 year of banter, you know. Try to imagine if you are an outsider who goes in and orders, you know, a fruit juice or something like that. That would be inciting violence.
Okay. But nowadays, you know, if you have a Sprite or a Coca-Cola, it's not so bad.
No.
Instead of having a beer.
No. In this kind of places, I went to some kind of old school places, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but then, and
like
this
a
is
like a real bar, you know, not a coffee shop or something.
Well, it suffices to say that it was the place. It was placed in the boondocks of town, you know, where there were the piers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where the ship arrive.
Oh, okay.
So
like
it was,
like at the docks.
The docks. Right? Yeah. So, but then what happened? That I said hello to these friends. Of course, I paid drinks for everybody, and then I went away. But 4 or 5 years later, I wanted to go back to see if they still were there. And the fact is that the people there completely changed. Not one single of the people I used to know was there. It was another generation. They were at least 10 or 15 years younger than me.
Wow.
So a completely different place. It was gone.
Yeah. So what happened to the people that used to be there?
They died.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Probably they had some kind of drinking issue.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say is that I had problem with health, not with drinking. You know, I was not a dysfunctional drinking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't get drunk.
Yeah, Probably is because you have a good subconscious, or because there are people when they drink they become different, they become violent, or
God,
yeah, you know.
and those people.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
drink if that's what it does to you anyway? Like, if
Oh,
you
it's-
know that's what happens,
They
why do you keep
use it as an
drinking?
excuse. I swear they use it as an excuse, and as soon as
Yeah,
they
maybe.
start feeling tipsy, they're like, "Now I can let that side come out."
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Where
Peter, I have proof that even you did something stupid for some reason.
yeah. Oh, me?
No, no, Peter.
Oh, I
Huh?
was gonna say.
What did I do?
Well, I only say one word: the robot.
Ah, you saw that video.
Yes, and you confessed in the comments that you did it for one specific purpose.
I didn't think you'd find that. That's on my other channel.
Yeah, exactly. I looked for a video in your channel, didn't find any. So
Yeah, I don't. I don't know how to go into the Hangouts with that main channel that I actually use.
That's
I go by Nerian.
Well, this is just another
okay.
issue that I don't understand about YouTube. Why do we have to do the Hangout using Google and not using YouTube? They are the same one and the same
Because
corporation. Why?
yeah,
Why?
because
Yes, go ahead.
well, I just want to say that it's because they wanted to for people to use for YouTubers to use Google Plus, but they failed at that. But so now they don't know what to do with Google Plus.
But
God damn it! We're using it right now.
of course, that's the fact. I don't think they failed because they forced me to.
Well, like people don't use it, for example, as like Facebook, for example. They
Yeah,
use just for the a specific thing, like for a hangout or, you know,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, because
Like for example, take
they could have the technology to do the Hangouts directly from YouTube, of course. It's
yeah,
not a
yeah, exactly.
technological, but they forced the people to switch to Google Plus to do this kind of thing. You know.
Are you the
Yeah,
guy who asked
and
me,
people hated them for that.
That's who the guy?
Massimo? Are you the one who actually left that comment, or was it someone else?
Yes, I am
Oh,
the
you're
one.
Malatempora.
Exactly. Yes.
Ah.
And so when I first tried to join a Hangout, I tried to do it using that account, you know.
Yeah.
And
I tried to use
I could not because when I tried to join an account, an Hangout, they say a notice came out and said you have to first create a Google Plus account, you know, all this kind of shit. So now I am using this account. I created it maybe 1 month ago. But my YouTube account is 10 years old. But
Yeah,
I cannot use it, or at least I don't know how to use it to join a Hangout. Is there
yeah,
some kind of way to use
Yeah, I wanted to stream
yeah.
Nobody
my
knows
Nerian
anything
account, but
about
I
it.
don't know how to do it.
Scientists don't even know how to use Google Plus yet.
It's impossible. It's just
Yeah,
unknowable.
it's too convoluted. Like for example, if you want to send someone a message on Google Plus, it's something very hard to do. You know,
Yeah.
you'll have to be.
You know, Google is a total argument against capitalism because everybody says, like, for example, there's the NASA does its thing and they make a mess and they spend $9 million on a computer you can get for $1,000 from a capitalist. And they make a faucet that costs $2 million. You can get it for $9 at Home Depot, and it's the same fucking faucet, but they use that faucet to go into outer space, but it costs them $9 million to come to it. And we are like the opposite. Now, Google is like proving that the free market can spend oodles and oodles of money and come up with utter garbage and nonsense constantly.
Well, they have so much money sitting around, they don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
That's probably that's
And they are a monopoly. This is why they are a natural monopoly.
Okay, that's exactly the point.
Yeah. I think they played it right from the beginning when they came up with all the all the free services, you know.
Yeah.
I was being very suspicious. I
But
said,
you know, they have
what?
successes and they have losses. That's capitalism.
Yeah, true. At least till now, they're you know they're providing a decent enough
Yeah, I used
services.
Gmail. They came out with
Yeah.
Gmail. That was good. They bought
Yeah.
YouTube because
Yeah.
fuck, they have all this money and they don't know what to fucking spend it on.
What
Yeah.
is objectivist offer that we would be able to come into it like a monopoly?
Hey,
Monopoly on reason.
monopoly on reason. Well,
That's pretty.
see, I think the most important thing about objectivism is not the politics. In fact, that's something I barely have thought about in the past couple of years. It's about how to live your life and be happy. And I think that's probably what my channel would be more about, is the egoism side, is the, you know, how do I rationally choose a career, or how do I deal with people in my life, and all those kinds of things.
Right.
You know, self-esteem. How do I improve that? How do I, now that I know that I need to be rationally self-interested, how do I actually do it? Now, how do I be independent? How do I have integrity and all that kind of thing? How do I really apply that to my life?
I have to jump in on Peter there, because Peter, you sound just like Todd, who does the radio show with me. He says those are the questions he wants to answer. He doesn't. He says our viewers don't need to know what epistemology is.
I don't agree with that, but
happy and how to treat their friends and what to do with their. So I said the only way to teach them how to be happy and teach their friends is to teach them the concretes of the examples of what.
Yes.
See, I disagree that you don't need to know that. I'm just saying, once you know all that, and once you've accepted all that, then applying it is not automatic.
No, I wasn't.
But I would say
you and he have the same goal. You and he wants our radio show to be like that, and you're saying that's what you're looking for when you go out and look for thoughts and stuff. He wants our radio show to be like something for people who want to tune in for something like, how do I deal with reality, rather than some floating thing. And you're saying what I want is this concrete thing. And politics for you, until recently, you thought was a little too abstract. Now you're coming around a bit on that.
No, well, just not that interesting for me personally. Like it wasn't like the major reason I was actually interested in objectivism. And I don't think it's actually the most important thing about objectivism. And I see a lot of objectivists sort of focusing mainly on politics, and then, you know, they're not really focusing on their own lives. Like, they're not being rationally self-interested in the way that I think that they should be, given that that's what they think. You know, they don't even think that's really something to worry about, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think is missing with the you know, the Ayn Rand Institute and stuff. They need to apply the principles. Like,
Yaron Brook is talking politics, and that's fine. But the rational egoism side, and also, you know, where there's also things that aren't morality but that are useful, like you know, self-development things, like how to manage your time. That's also cool. And you know, should I be how much time and effort should I spend on my health? How much time and effort should I spend on exercise? And you know, what's rational and what's not? And that's really where I'm interested. I'm not saying that politics is too abstract or it's not important or anything like that, but I don't see a lot of people talking about the ethics in your own life. Yeah, the ethics in your own life. Like, for me, objectivism has helped me so much in that I wouldn't have even really known how to approach deciding what to do as a career. A lot of people will go, oh, you know, and the career advice out there in the culture is all fucking altruist. It's, oh, do something to help others. Others. It's completely ass backwards. And people never ask themselves, what the fuck do I actually like to do? And so people get into careers and they feel miserable and they can never figure out why. Because they're trying to be selfish, or... I mean, even objectivists will do this. Even objectivists will do this, where they'll go, you know, I need to be a philosopher because it'll help the culture. No, what do you like to do?
Isn't it funny when people try to be, they try to be self under the radar. They're like, I'll pretend I'm an altruist, but I'll actually choose something that I want to do, and they destroy their life because they don't understand what it means to do what you want to do without being an altruist.
Yeah, they can't even get outside of that. And then they're like, helping others makes me happy. Da, da, da. And there's a very good lecture by Tara Smith, who's an objectivist philosopher, on the eStore about purpose and how to come up with a purpose. And she talks about all that kind of thing. And it's not that easy. And she also talks. There's one also about on YouTube, I think, about how to be selfish. And she points out that simply doing what you want to do isn't being selfish. It's not automatic. A lot of people think that being selfish is this automatic, easy thing. And it isn't necessarily. It's not simply doing whatever I feel like in the moment.
Right. Yeah, no, it's not hedonism.
Right.
I think that's one important thing or aspect that is missing from objectivism. Like, for example, I think that's where neo-tech comes in. Have you guys heard of neo-tech?
I heard of it, but I still don't know what it is.
Well, it's an offshoot of objectivism, and they go into those aspects where what to do, how to get money, how to organize your time, how to do certain things.
Right. It's kind of like the more practical concretes of how to get your values now that you've decided to be selfish.
Exactly.
Which is a bit beyond morality, but it's still important to discuss. So yeah, if I want to make a channel, that's probably what I'd focus on. But have you found Neotech to be useful? Is it rational?
Well, yeah, it is. It is pretty good, but you have to stick to the to the stuff that is original from Newtech, not the other authors and stuff. I think they have pretty good books that I would definitely recommend. Like, for example, there are advices on how to start a business, how to contact people, how to to talk to entrepreneurs to get their ideas, how to do lots of things, how to control your time. They have books on that.
Yeah, that stuff's cool too.
And one thing that really helped me in planning my activities was a saying, it was a passage in a self-improvement book that says that it's not enough to know where you want to go, right? You have to know where you are, and when you know those two things, you can trace a route to get to your destination. Because if you only want to get to a goal and you don't know where you are, you won't plan your route correctly.
Yes, you have to do the so-called situation assessment.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Then you have to know it.
And in defense of epistemology, I don't think if I didn't have that sort of epistemological background, I wouldn't know how to think clearly in order to make plans to reach the goals that I want. I wouldn't know what was important, and so on and so forth.
Yes,
I wouldn't know how to identify good advice either. Like,
hey guys, unless you're on a serious thought, can I just interrupt and ask Sailor Moon if they bring anything they want to talk about tonight? Or if they want to continue with anything we've said, or if they've been listening, or...
I think the microphone is off.
It's currently off.
Yeah. I think, as Todd said, I think the cat is playing the computer or something.
No, but probably she tried or he tried to join, then he went away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Could be.
Or maybe they're just listening to the show.
Yeah, it could be just listening. All right, Peter. Sorry to interrupt. I didn't.
No worries, I was just rambling a bit.
All right, I'll pick it up with something provocative unless someone takes it away. Go ahead. 3, 2, 5, 2, 1. Nothing provocative. Well, okay. What can I bring up provocative? That was a bluff. I was bluffing. I wanted some.
I was like, I'm ready for it. Give it to me.
Yeah.
we called your bluff.
Yeah.
Waited for me to say something provocative. Shit.
We are great poker players.
Here's something provocative. In all of the United States of America, there are extremely, extremely small number of people that are on the edge of human thinking. And one of them is some guy in a room in the Hangout with you right now. Is that possible?
What you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
I mean, let's see.
Well, when you see the edge of when you see
You guys all agree that objectivist thinking is on the edge, and you agree I am on the edge of objectivist thinking.
Yeah, I would say.
Oh, right.
Am I on the edge then of all of humanity? Are you seriously, you guys, according to what you say in your agreement, I, Mr. Cropper, am on the edge of humanity, on the edge of the United States thinking?
But
Well,
what do you mean on the
Edge.
edge?
That's what I'm throwing to you. That's what I'm giving to you, because you guys are the
well,
ones.
the rest.
You guys say that you guys brought to me the statement that the Ayn Rand Institute offers you X, Y, and Z, and you go to Mr. Cropper for an edgy bit of that, which does not dissent from the Ayn Rand Institute, right? Or do you think I dissent from the Ayn Rand Institute?
no.
But
Well, the Ayn Rand Institute and the other one, Atlas Society. I think they
Atlas
both do
Society.
good stuff.
So anyway, but
Yeah.
on that general lattice work, they are doing important work. Euron Brooks there, he's edgy, they do their thing. Mr. Cropper's edgier than that. You're in a hangout with one of the edgiest people on the continent. What I say is true is true. And you're in another continent, you Mexican over there in Australia. So anyways, I'm throwing that to you. Okay, so that's some provocative, I thought I would say. So I look at that and I wonder what I should do to cash in on the fact that I'm edgier than objectivism, which is edgy enough. I like, who can go to an objectivist and say, I gotcha, I've got something even better. And I can do that once in a while, once a month. So
Yeah, like for example, you're the only objectivist that comes up that I know of that comes up with very novel and interesting integrations. You know, from what you've learned from the Ayn Rand. You know, I think you come up most of the time you come up with pretty interesting points.
all right, so there we go.
Yeah.
I've followed that, Peter, or whatever, if you want to take a stab, or one of you guys throw something out that's interesting. But anyways, I don't know what I'm trying to say with it. I'm just saying, what am I trying to say? I'm saying, okay, I'm putting an impetus on you guys in this room because you guys understand something about the importance of the edginess of what I'm saying, or something. You guys realize that I'm making different points and more points and further points. So I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. What I'm saying.
On YouTube, you're probably the most prominent objectivist at the moment. I think there's very many. You've basically destroyed the competition, and there's, I mean, no one's even bothering to try and
comment on Ayn Rand's
So the point is maybe we must ask ourselves why there is no more formal presence of objectivist societies in the social media.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could do it and I don't. So
it is disturbing in a way because it seems like it is a paradox because in general objectivists are not lazy people, you know. So
yeah, maybe we're too busy with our own lives to bother.
Yeah, true.
We don't care about convincing other people.
That was the point I was trying to drive to because generally they are okay with trying to explain their view, but only if asked to. They are
Yeah.
they are no motivational speaker.
Yeah, when I'm talking to people in my life and they say stupid shit, I don't say anything. I just smile, or I just laugh, or I say something cryptic, or I ask them a probing question to see if they can defend it, and I might say something, but I don't feel personally attacked, or like I need to
Intervene, right?
I feel like objectivism. It's not even objectivism for me so much as it is just what I think is true. So yeah.
Well, when I get in that experience, I usually insult them and either turn
Yeah.
away or just wait for them to reply and see if we can get in a fist fight. And I just wait for it to go to escalate. But
I'm so fluffy compared to that.
well, a good job, because it's not turning well for me.
I'm usually very outspoken. For example,
but
my family man.
we need a few people like Cropper out there, I guess, to
Yeah.
get in your face.
But I don't do that, for example, at work or,
Right.
But I feel very uncomfortable when I hear something that is so wrong. I feel compelled to say something. But I'm not a very good speaker. You know, Maybe when I'm mad or something like that. But usually I don't express my thoughts very well.
Yeah.
But I do feel compelled to intervene.
My teacher was talking about sort of how bad Trump is, and I'm not pro-Trump, but I was trying to probe him and see if he could respond if I sort of took the pro-Trump position, and I'm like, yeah, but da 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 da, and it's fun to do that sometimes. I like doing that.
Yeah, to be the devil's advocate, right?
Yeah, and then I'm like, well, he's going to build this wall, and then he's like, but he can't build the wall because, the international community and da-da-da-da, and he can't do this. He said on the website, it says Trump's going to, make wire transfers require that you prove you're a citizen, and he's going to increase the tariffs. And he's like, oh, America can't, extort people like that, international community. I'm like, can't America do whatever they want? Can't they? I mean, aren't they a sovereign country? And I was saying stuff like that.
How did you feel at the end? Do you feel more pro-Trump than you did at the beginning? Or?
Not really. I just have a laugh about it because it was interesting to see what he thought. And then I'm like, so I'm guessing you're not pro-Trump then? And he's like, no. And I'm like, but he could win. I mean, he's playing it. He's playing the media like a fiddle, isn't he? I think he's smarter than people think. And he's like, well, yeah, he could win. And I'm like, so what do you think would happen? And he said, there's going to be a lot of trouble. They're going to be in a lot of trouble. And that was pretty much the end of it.
Yeah, everyone says they're going to leave the country. Good riddance to anyone who wants to leave the country because Trump,
I would love for the socialists to leave.
Yeah.
Probably nothing will happen. Probably people will become delusioned by how absolutely it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll be like, oh shit, I thought this whole time it was
because everything, sorry, like everything he says, it's been said before by other politicians. Like even the catchphrase "Let's make America great," it was used by Reagan. So
think
so he is basically playing another Republican.
I think most likely.
Yeah, go ahead.
It'll either be nothing or it'll be a trade war. And if it's a trade war, everyone loses. And if it's nothing, we'll just sort of coast through and it'll be okay. But I think he'll probably start a trade war. I just don't think it could possibly be worse than what Hillary would do. There's no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would prefer Trump over Clinton any day because she will only continue what Obama is doing, and I think Trump might have a better response to terrorism and security.
Super Thin.
Yeah.
You are a American resident, no? But
yes.
Do you have the right to vote?
I'm here on a working visa.
So you cannot vote?
No.
Okay.
And I don't vote. Even in Cape Verde, I don't vote.
I don't vote here. You know, it's compulsory to vote in Australia.
Oh, really? Wow. If
Yes.
I was there, I would give them a middle finger.
Yeah, it's what I do. You
Okay.
can rock up and just not feel you get your name ticked off. Then you take the piece of paper and you can just put it straight in the ballot. You don't have to vote, and then it just doesn't count as a vote.
What does
But
it have?
you have to technically go and get your name ticked off.
So it's like Brazil.
Oh, what
What
happens?
is
Go
it?
ahead.
Sorry?
What happens if you don't go to the ballot?
Well, they apparently you get a fine. So I don't think they take it very seriously. And so I said, what do they do if you don't pay the fine? And they're like, well, it'll
Yeah.
get bigger. And I'm like, well, they take you to jail eventually. And I don't think they would. I don't think they'd ever actually do that. So I think it's more just like a silly law that they realize is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And most people would pay the fine. And it's like $60 or something. I don't know. And you have to be on the roll. So people who aren't on the roll, I don't think that they even know. So I don't know.
What do you mean by on the roll?
Or the electoral roll. You have to sign up, and then they put you on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. If you don't, then I don't even think they know if you're even gone or not. But
so when you don't automatically you are not automatically added to the roll when you get
No.
to the voting age.
no, you have to sign. You have to fill out a form and send it in. But it's compulsory to do that.
You know, I thought only in Italy these things could happen, but
no, Australia has some weird things. $15 minimum wage and other weird things. Yeah, but we've got a very free internal market, lots of free trade with external markets. It's why it's a very, very good country. I think I'm actually a lot less pessimist about the current state of the world than most objectivists. I look around and I see a lot of good stuff going on. I see a lot of good technology, and in spite of very mixed philosophical basis,
I've
Continue.
Like Peter Schiff, the
Yeah,
gold guy, and he said that one of the best places to invest and maybe go to is New Zealand, maybe Australia,
right. Yeah.
Norway, I think. Yes,
Yeah.
those are good places.
Australia is just, I mean, I think it's really doing quite well. But the reason I worry about the US degrading is that the rest of the world, like Australia, we look to the US for guidance of what to do.
Exactly.
And the US is like most of the technology. Well, a lot of the technology comes from the US, and I mean, it would be bad for everyone.
Yeah, if the US falls, the world will fall.
But I think the time horizon is too long. It's like 50, 100 years, so I don't really worry about it that much in my lifetime. I might, donate some money to some places like the Ayn Rand Institute or something when I've got some money. But I mean, other than that, I don't really see what I can do.
Yeah. How old are you, Peter?
I'm 26.
So you should have some kind of long-term perspective.
Well, yeah, over 50, 60 years, but I'm not sure how bad it's going to get in 50 or 60 years. I don't see it getting that bad.
Brandon thinks that things are going to get pretty messy, like in 5 years or 10 years, right, Cropper? I don't think he's listening. But the thing is that the bailouts cannot continue, and I guess that will be the end of it.
Sorry, I was right here. I was 2 feet away from the thing, but
the guys like Peter Schiff.
5 or 10 years is going to see some pretty big problems. I think I've said this before. I think the sad thing about human history is that we're going to continue to get more and more productive, and we're not going to evolve away from being what we are. So we're going to have better and better machines to hurt each other, and to defend ourselves, hopefully, as well. And so it's just going to continue to be very messy, and the Second Amendment is going to continue to be very important for a long, long time.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe we can come up with something better. With a better constitution or something.
Well, until then, let's all just have guns.
Yes, yes. Guns are paramount to be able to defend ourselves.
But people like Peter Schiff seem to think the world is always going to go to hell. And so I started to look away from guys like that. And another one is Doug Casey. I think he's a brilliant man, but the economy, they're right when it comes to the fundamentals of the Austrian business cycle and so on, but they can't time it, and they can't.
Peter Schiff.
In the meantime, the economy can go way up, and if you don't, get in on that, then you would lose a lot as an investor, and so on and so forth. And over time, it's technology that really pushes us upwards.
Peter Schiff was.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think I kind of see what you're saying. Like, for example, I think like monetarily we are poorer than people were, say, 100 years ago, for example, in the 1800s or early 1900s. But technologically, we're more advanced, right?
Well,
but if it wasn't for the technology, it would be
money. Yeah, the purchasing power of money comes from how much is being produced, which comes from the technology. So what I'm trying to say is, like, yeah, I see there's going to be problems, there's going to be economic crashes, wealth is going to be destroyed, but really it's a testament to how damn good our technology is, that all this shit can go on, that all this wealth can be destroyed, and yet things still get better. And I just think that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be the same shit for the next 50 years. There's going to be crashes. There's going to be massive debts. There's going to be countries going bankrupt. But over time, things are still going to get better. I mean, it's just a testament to the brilliance of how brilliant some people are. We're still going up.
And we leveled Western Europe, and we came out with the 50s and 60s, which were very productive. So that's exactly what we see in the future. Peter, you see it as a replay then, basically, of that sort of thing?
Well, I don't know. I just see that I don't see why it's going to all come crumbling down. Like some people who are doomsdayers, I don't really see that happening. I think that things.
What about
there could be
what
periods,
about hyperinflation?
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility for sure, hyperinflation. But if hyperinflation, say, hits America, that's going to be very bad for America. But that we're not going back to the Stone Age or anything like that. It's going to be the standard of living of Americans, and then of course the rest of the country, because if America goes down, the rest of us go down a little bit too. It's going to be somewhat significantly decreased, but it's. I think you'd be surprised at how quickly the economy can recover from that kind of thing. Once everything, but the problem is that they have to let it restructure, wipe all the shit away, bring in the responsible people to deal with the assets, and then move from there. One of the biggest problems is they don't let the collapse happen when it should happen. Yeah. By pumping money into the system and artificially keeping it afloat. They shouldn't do that. They should let it all just, burn the fucking thing down and start over, and it will recover really quickly.
Yeah. Like I think it will be something like maybe like the Great Depression, but a little bit worse. But
you really
I think we'll.
But yeah, see, even look at that.
Yes.
America had a Great Depression, and then went on to be, one of the most productive countries in the world after that. And so, yeah, these things can happen, and there can be bad times. I'm not discounting that, but I see it like the weather. I see it like the weather. There's fucking nothing I can do about the weather. All I can do as an individual is plan around it and do the best I can for me, and to, exactly. If it looks like it's going to rain, prepare for it. That kind of thing. That's how I see it.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, did you watch the video that I sent you about the?
Oh yes, I watched one of them. Yeah. Okay. So are you of the opinion? Are you with these Electric Universe people?
Uh-huh. Yes.
See, I thought maybe, yeah. So you're convinced of that, are you? Because I've watched a few of their Electric Universe videos as well, and when they mentioned that, I was like, oh, okay, so I guess Super Fin guy's on board.
Yes, yes,
So do you think
yes.
the sun is electrical?
Yes, yes. There's evidence for that. Yes.
Yeah, I know there's some strange. You know, one of those guys is in the Electric Universe movement is Australian. The Wolf,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Thornhill.
Thornhill. Yeah, he's Australian. Yeah. See, we are Australians. We have these. We're rogues. Have you ever heard of Australian realism, Mr. Cropper or Finn? Have you ever heard of Australian realism? It's a philosophical school that
Not
we
really.
created. Okay, let me just quickly. This is what we create. You know, think about what you create. This is what we created. There's just 6 sentences, the basic tenets of Australian realism, and you tell me how. I mean, what you think. Okay, number 1. All entities exist in spatial temporal situations. All situations are all that exists. There are no levels of reality. So basically, they're saying, you know, quantum level, and it's all the same. Number 2, all situations have a propositional form. That is, all situations have the form A is B. Number 3, reality is infinitely complex and plural. Every fact is a complex situation, which includes every object. There are no simples, no atomic facts, no objects which cannot be expanded into facts. Number 4, all situations exist independent of knowledge of them. Now that there is primacy of existence.
Sounds pretty good.
Determinism, all entities, objects, events, situations are cause. That's causality. Ethics is concerned with establishing and describing what is good. This is a positive science. It is not normative. So that's I mean, I think what they have decided is good is probably wrong, but at least they've got that down. Now that's the end. That's Australian realism. This was created in Adelaide University, the one near me, University of Sydney, and Australian National University. And so there's some. I mean, it's very mixed, but it's better than fucking nihilism.
Yeah, a lot better. It's better than existing. Sorry, I pronounced that. Exist.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry. Not tonight.
Yeah.
So it's better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with everything, and I think they're a bit mixed, but the fact that they've got causality, they've basically got the primacy of existence. All situations exist independent of knowledge of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Will Thornhill, and the other guy is from Tasmania, the guy who talks about how black holes don't exist.
The relative.
He's a mathematician, and he goes through the math, and he shows you why it's mathematically bullshit.
He's from Tasmania. I thought he was straight up Australian.
I'm pretty sure he's from Tasmania. What's his name? I forgot. Is it Stephen Crothers?
Crothers or something like that.
Crothers, Stephen Crothers. Yeah, it is Stephen Crothers.
Yeah.
No way, he's from New South Wales. Okay, he went to the University of New South Wales, and they didn't let him do his PhD because he was saying black holes can't exist.
Yeah, exactly. And he was he had some pretty good points about black holes not existing. And he's basically like a critic of Einstein's relativity.
Right. Yeah. So you think that the sun is not a nuclear
No,
bomb?
not at all. Like if you observe, sunspots, you can see that it's cooler inside of the sun. And also, if you
Superfin guy, how do you get rid of the production of the table of elements? Because I like a lot of the Electric Universe, but there's so much of Einstein I cannot dismiss. So, okay.
I'm not against relativity. I think they are complementary, like the Electric Universe and the real, real relativism.
So the sun is a nuclear furnace, but there's more going on.
No, it's not a nuclear furnace. It's more like an electric light bulb. It's like an arc.
Okay.
An arc lamp.
So the inside's a nuclear furnace and the outside is an arc lamp.
No, it's like Jupiter, for example. Like Jupiter and Saturn are failed suns.
Where do we get the elements then? Don't the elements come from exploded stars?
Well,
Yeah, what do they say? What do they say?
Well, they basically say that elements, they get, compressed into each other by the pinch effect, for example, like planets formed by the pinch effect, plasmoids in general formed by the pinch effect, like the sun, for example.
Do they say that the elements are being created in the sun?
Like in the sun or supernovas or
Okay, so I mean,
quasars, in
okay, so they
plasmoids
don't.
in general.
The supernovas uh, create heavier elements. Okay.
Yeah, because the most abundant element in the universe is hydrogen, right? So when you have a pinch effect, you have it's sort of like
Can you explain the pinch
Bernoulli.
effect?
Okay, so it's like the Bernoulli effect. For example, say you have two cans next to each other, right? And
Right.
you blow between them, and when you
Yeah.
blow between them, in that region, there is less pressure, and so because of
Yes.
that less pressure, the cans move towards each other.
Okay, so that's the
So
pinch.
you have
Okay.
a flow there. You have
And so where does that
a
happen?
zone of lesser pressure. So
And so where does that happen in the sun?
with the pinch effect, it happens with magnetic fields. Like for
So
example,
there's
if
like
you have
less magnetic field in one area, is that?
no, like you have sort of like a vacuum there, a zone of less pressure that causes currents to flow in that region. So that's when you have the pinch effect, like
And it's strong enough
the
to push the atoms together in the way that they would.
yeah, exactly, that they
Oh,
would
okay.
form heavier elements. Like for example, and also there's the centrifugal force. Like take for example when the magnetic fields are stronger in that region, right? And as you know, currents form in a plane that is perpendicular to the plane of a magnetic field, right? So as the currents, no, I would say like as the magnetic fields pass in that region, like the electric fields form radially around that path that the magnetic fields go through, right? So that causes also a rotation, and that causes matter to congregate on those spots. Like take the galaxy for example. Imagine that the galaxy is just the congregation, the electric field turning around, and the magnetic field is perpendicular to that. And that can be seen, for example, in some galaxies where you can see that form, for example.
So you studied electronics, and so I guess you know some of the math behind it as well, because I know a lot of
Yeah.
these guys were electrical engineers who noticed
Yes.
the phenomena was the same in their field, and they thought that there was something. Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
I don't
You,
know
you
either
can
way,
you
but
can
it's interesting.
recognize. Yeah,
I
but
feel like
this is something that
they have made predictions that the others have not made, like they made the prediction that there would be a huge flash and explosion before on a comet when
yeah, exactly,
when they
exactly.
landed down as the
Yeah.
electrical discharge, and the
Discharge.
mainstream was surprised by that, and they made that
Yeah.
prediction, and I think that was a big plus on their part, because a prediction shows that you're definitely probably on the
Oh
right
no.
path.
Yeah, exactly. And they also predicted there was no ice on comets, and they were correct. Almost no
Right.
ice,
Oh,
just
okay.
regular rocks. Yeah, like there's no difference between an asteroid and a comet. The the,
And one of
the
the,
the only difference is how they are moving.
And it helps if one of your major spokesmen seems like a very, very irrational, sane person. Walthorn, he just seems like a completely
Yeah,
legitimate guy who has a different conclusion.
yeah.
One
I
of the
don't
things I
agree.
didn't like is some of their lectures started to get a bit, on some other topics, they started to get a little bit
Mhm.
mystically, and I was like,
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. They don't represent all of the
Yeah.
electric universe.
Oh,
There
I
are
think
other
they're
sites.
just,
There are other people behind it.
yeah.
like
It's not just them.
astronomy, science, and mythology, and all kinds of nonsense, didn't they? But
Well, they were
Well,
saying
well,
that stuff is alright. They were saying that the myths come from real phenomena that the ancients had
observe,
seen
right?
in the sky.
Yeah.
So um,
Yeah,
I mean,
that
that's not
part
too
is a
bad,
bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
But
it's not mystically in essence. But there was some other stuff I can't even remember what it was now. But years ago, I was watching these videos. I would go and
sometimes
have lunch and
sometimes
watch.
they came with you know, saying that this about spiritism or something like that, about that the brain is not the mind, or you know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
They
there's a whole.
have a few videos on that.
I think that they're very they're so open that sometimes they maybe let in a few a few
Yeah,
people who
exactly.
are
That
less
their
than.
brains are falling off. But yeah, but there are other resources for the electric universe out there. I like most of their stuff of the Thunderbolts project,
Right, that's
but
the one.
there are other people. There's also the plasma cosmology. Uh, Other people are on board that, you know, but they all come together as one theory. You know, actually, I like the plasma cosmology, you know, narrative better, a little better than the electric universe, but they are the same.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting how
So
philosophy can very much. I think the reason I found the electric universe was from philosophy, thinking, okay, we need something better than
then
quantum
dark
physics,
matter and dark energy.
yeah,
Yeah.
or dark energy. And then I think started looking around that, I found the electric universe and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
just as another analogy, when I'm interested in artificial intelligence, and when I'm listening to podcasts or videos, oftentimes there will be philosophically philosophical
Challenging.
points or that they make that I can see that they're getting muddled up, and so it's
Yeah. Yeah.
messing with their thing. Or there are things that are just don't matter, and they're quibbling over terms, or that kind of stuff. And so even for someone, I think in Atlas Shrugged, one of her points was that John Galt was a philosopher and an inventor, and part of him being a philosopher was what made him also a good inventor, because he knew how to think about things clearly. I think that many of these technologists have rather good groundings. There's a guy called Paul Graham who who runs Y Combinator. It's a startup a startup seed thing. He writes essays, and some of his essays are the best things I've ever read. And one of them was on wealth, and his whole conception of it was just amazingly spot on, and actually was illuminating for a lot of things, even though I already had an understanding of what wealth is. And he also says that you have to accept inequality because some people just produce more, and he's not an objectivist, so
Yeah.
it's
So
amazing. Yeah.
he's in the right direction. You know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So what I wanted to say is on artificial intelligence. Have you looked into that much? Do you know anything about the IBM made a neuromorphic chip? They made an actual chip that was more like a brain.
I've heard about that, but in artificial intelligence, it's about the software. I've heard about that
I think
chip
that
that stimulates the
the
brain.
point of the chip was to
Mhm.
make it run faster, so that
Oh, okay.
you're basically putting the software into the chip, like, so it's massively
So it's
parallel rather
okay.
than simulating a massively parallel process on a von Neumann architecture computer where it's going through like the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 cores. They
Okay.
made it so that it was this programmable massively parallel chip, so that they can put the algorithms on that, and it runs faster and with less
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, with
Like
less.
for example, like the software that I'm trying, and you know, the all the theory and everything. Um, you know, yeah, the speed is not an issue. It's not a concern for me right now, but I think in the future it will be, because once you populate.
Once we figure it out, we want it to
Yeah.
run
Exactly. Yeah.
well and with less electricity. That's the other thing. The
Yeah.
brain runs, I can't remember what it is. It's like 10 watts or something. It's nothing.
Wow.
No, like less than that. It's like nothing, but doing all these calculations massively in parallel, and so they were inspired by that, so they made this chip which was massively parallel. And the other thing with the chip is that you can actually have some of the transistors degrade or go out, and the information just flows around it.
Oh,
And
okay, great.
you know very
exactly.
well that
Yeah.
in a computer, if that happens, the whole thing's done.
Done. Yeah, exactly. That's a better architecture. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Very
for
nice.
for running artificial intelligence, it's probably better.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope they implement it on normal computers.
yeah, I hope that you can
I
buy
know
them
that.
soon. You can buy some and mess around with them. It'd be nice.
Oh, great. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would be good if you could buy 'em. And it'll probably be like we have our computer, we have the graphics card. We'll probably have like a neuromorphic card that we put in there that deals with all that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever seen
like
the movie Her?
her.
Her, yeah. It was just called Her. It had Joaquin Phoenix in it.
I heard of it.
It was about an artificial intelligence operating system, and he ended up getting into like a romantic relationship with this
Oh, really?
artificial intelligence.
Sounds interesting.
It's a very good movie, and the point of it is, I mean, it's not even mainly about the artificial intelligence. It's actually an interesting story. It's the
What
fact
year is
that
this from?
pretty recent, I think
Oh,
2009
okay,
or
great.
something.
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
haven't heard
should
of it. Yeah.
you should. Yeah, 2013. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. The
So
point is that if we ever have artificial intelligence that is so like he's actually laughing at he's like, you seem so real, and she's like, why shouldn't I? And he's talking to her like she's a person. There's no sign at all that it's not a person. And I think all arguments about whether we've created an artificial intelligence or whether they're conscious or not is moot if we can make something like that. And so that's what I'm interested in. I don't care about quibbling over the philosophical. Let's just make something intelligent that can like do my dishes for me,
Well,
Yeah.
or can have a conversation with me. And if it can, then
I think
you
we already have some hint of what's going on in that direction when we have our pets, which are very stupid little animals, and we see lots of layers of intelligence and personality in them. We see personality in our pets,
I think that's important because cats and dogs do have intelligence in a way that computers don't. For instance, dogs and cats and all other mammals have very, very good image recognition. They recognize your face. They recognize what a person is. They can navigate through the world in a way that is really hard to do in software. Very hard to do. And so even if we can make artificial intelligence with the intelligence of a cat, it'll still be useful. And even if it's intelligence of a dog. But if we can get to the point of a human, it'll be even better. And what I think is that the intelligence of a human is merely adding more complexity to the structure. But it's the same because the cat brain and the dog brain and the ape brain, it's all very, very similar in terms of the way it's structured.
It's the same. I think our brains are superior in not in quality, but in quantity.
We have like more of it, and I think we have more layers that they don't have. So we have the ability to make abstractions because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess my point would be if we can create an AI as smart as a cat, we will start to have personal interactions with it and feel like it has a personality. And then this debate will start to fade way before we make something as
What I worry about, though, is someone's going to say once we have these artificial intelligence and they seem to be as smart as people are going to say they have their own rights. Right, but I think that the way that we will make them is that they won't want them because we can program them to have any preference structure we want. We can make them so that they only want to serve humans. We can, because intelligence and your desires are actually two separate things, and I think that we can give them whatever desires we want.
Well, like for example, we could come up with artificial intelligence that is capable of thinking, but not capable of being conscious. Because we can have we can have a goal for an artificial intelligence. It will
Right.
accomplish that goal, but it won't be able to choose its own goals.
Yeah, it won't want to do anything unless it's given the task. It will have no
Yeah, exactly.
personal desires. And I think then people will hopefully people then will not say that they deserve rights. Otherwise, then it's moot because we're trying to make these things so that they can do all these things for us. And then if they
go ahead. Excuse me. No. I didn't mean to interrupt. But if I can. It sounded interesting to me to hear last thing, super thing I just said. That consciousness has to do with choosing one's your own goals. Is that what you said, super thing?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me because it goes back to the problem of choice, which is it's a major point for my own way of looking at the world, because I am not so sure that to choose is really possible.
Because of the determinism.
I am quite of a determinist man, because
I think the world might be deterministic, but inside our brains we make our own choices there.
Well,
see, the one I see as the brain is deterministic, but we can still make choices.
Well, if you care to listen to my idea, if it's not too boring for you.
Please,
but,
please.
No, not at all.
I came up with my own interpretation of this thing, because we all share, as a human creatures, the idea. We cherish the idea that we can choose our own destiny. So it is difficult to eradicate such a long and cherished idea. It's a very ancient idea. So it looks like it is pointless to try to debunk it, like if it was some kind of a religious idea. But my concept is this: is that we have the in our mind we have some kind of self. We are convinced by ourselves that we can choose, but in fact we cannot, because to feel like we can choose, it brings to the individual some kind of a selective advantage, because a man that is convinced that he can make a choice, even if he cannot, is more prone to take a risk. And so it is in condition, in harsh natural conditions, a man that can take risks is somehow has some slight advantage as for getting food, getting to mate, So to summarize it, I think that we cannot really make choices, but we have this kind of impression which drives our behavior to take some risks more than one other individual who does not. So this is so linked to our genetics survival that it is a second, and it's like a second nature to us to think that we can choose.
You can choose. So it's like the notion that our consciousness is an illusion, right?
Well, it depends on how you define consciousness. In fact, so but my point was on a more basic level, the problem of choice, you know, because you in fact somehow you can have a consciousness, but
not being able to choose.
Yes, on a practical level, you cannot. For example, if one is paralyzed, for example, what kind of practical choices can you do, even if you are conscious?
Yeah, not
not much on a practical level. Yes, you can you can only choose to think one thing or another if you are completely paralyzed, you know. But my point is that it is not a real choice because you are driven by electrical impulses, and the fact is that even for super Fingai is a believer in the electrical you know, universe. This kind of idea should resonate with him.
Well, yeah, I agree that that our brains are it's a electrochemical organ, you know. But I kind of disagree with your point that we cannot make choices because of that. Because I think our brains are capable of self-reflection. I mean, self-reflection. Like we can see ourselves. We can put ourselves in situations to see how we are behaving and correct that behavior. You know.
I
So
think the problem with
you think about making plans for the future?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason that the brain, I would agree that the brain is a physical system, and so it is cause and effect. But I still think that we can make choices, and I think that the important part here is that the determinist is setting up an impossible standard for choice, which is that we can choose what we choose, which is an infinite regress. Basically,
yes,
because if I say, okay, I chose what to have for dinner tonight, you understand what I mean by that, and you can see that I did make that choice. But then you say that I didn't get to choose what I chose, so that I didn't really choose it. And I think that
something
where,
chose for you before.
like, my brain just would have always done that. But I think that when it comes to whether or not we can make choices, we should. If we go into the choosing of the choosing of the choosing, it's an infinite regress, and I think it's an impossible standard for what is choice. Because if we say then we can't make choices, then it means what that would mean is that I can't even decide what to have for dinner tonight. I'm just stuck.
The fact is that your position or any other position in this matter, is a matter of fact, is not experimental. It's not empirically testing. It's not possible to empirically test this kind of theories because
But it's.
when you,
I'm not saying anything scientific.
of
I'm
course,
saying something.
neither
I'm not disputing the neuroscience, anything about that, or deterministic nature of reality.
Neither am I. I'm just, you know, throwing out some kind of ideas.
Like take for example that two cells in the brain are electrical, right? And they behave sort of like mirrors, you know, and they, like, the cells can, you know, can make choices. They can interact in such a manner that although they are cause and effect, they are above cause and effect because they can choose outcomes. You know, if something meets that standard or not, go with this, or you know, it works depending on the conditions.
But this is
know?
not it's not a real choice, Superfinger, because it's only pre-programmed behavior depending on external conditions.
But that's the point. That's the point. Like in one brain, you give one brain a certain information, right? It acts differently from another one. You know, so that brain, you, is making that choice. So that's what I'm saying.
But
You're basically saying for a choice to be a real choice, it has to be an uncaused choice. But that's setting up an impossible standard. There is no such thing.
Yeah.
Choice is a cause.
Is a
Yeah.
Choice is
It's an action.
So if choice is a cause, it's only another way to. It's a semantic problem. You simply call choice what is cause.
No, you simply say that there is a small list of things in the universe which cause events. A very, very small list. Gravity, explosions, and choice.
Like a mind, yeah.
A mind is a very, very small corner of the universe, but it's a real corner.
But the point is that to have a choice, you must have a real alternative, you know. But when you have made your choice, what happened to that alternative if it really existed in the first place?
They didn't exist. Like Leonard Peikoff says, he says, look, I'm going to move my arm. And then he didn't move his arm, and he said, oh, look, I decided not to. And
He was lying.
no,
lie.
Okay, well, okay, you say he was lying, but you have no proof of that. So either he is able to choose or he's not, and he says he is, and we say choice is real. And if it's not real, then there's only gravity.
For me, to lie is to say one thing and do another thing.
Well, is there only gravity then?
About what?
In the universe. How many forces are there? There's gravity, and there's what else? Magnetism. And we just say that minds, a conscious mind, is a fact in the universe. When it does something, that is a fact in the universe. And it's not a very big step to take. You're trying to explain your way out of it and say, no, a mind is just another example of gravity and rocks hitting into rocks. No, you don't need to go there. We can just pick up a new category. A mind is an amazing thing, and it's a new, different thing. It's not just a rock hitting into a rock.
It's something altogether. It can make choices. It can evaluate things. Where a rock hitting another, it's not an evaluation.
I think it's just an impossible standard set up. A metaphysical impossible. To say it's a real choice, it has to be an uncaused, like it has to be a real alternative.
No,
but there is a real alternative.
There
is a real alternative. I really can choose to eat chicken sandwich tonight or go get a pizza. I mean,
but you cannot go back and change your mind. You see,
it is a little bit semantic. I agree, because I think that the only objective definition of a choice is that kind of will. Now, if you want to call it free will or will, I don't care. I think we have a will and we can make choices.
Yeah,
and
we can make choices.
But like, if people say, "But you didn't choose your choices," I say, "Well, that's just an infinite regress."
No. And I think that is not true, because say I put in front of you option A, option B, option C. You know, as you have a brain, and that brain makes a decision. You know, and that brain is you. It's nothing else. So you make that decision. You choose one of the options. So that
Maybe it's just the way I look at the level of abstraction. Maybe the brain is a physical system that's causal, but when we're talking about making choices, we're kind of looking a little bit higher up in the abstraction there.
Yeah, like for example, I think you're
I agree.
Like Massimo, I think you're like equating everything to to just particles bouncing off each other. Like, and I think the brain is something more than that. It's it's a mechanism that we don't even understand right now properly.
Well, it is. I would somehow agree with your idea, because it's it's reassuring to think that we are some kind of special things in the universe. But
I don't think that.
We're not that.
Well, at least we're special here on planet Earth.
But the only thing that can make it, the only thing that can make a choice is a brain. Like, okay, physical systems can't, because obviously it's ridiculous. But the concept choice only comes into play when you have a brain, or you have a mind, and then I think that it's just an impossible standard imposed that it has to be the brain has to be somehow, magically not caused for it to be a real choice. But because either way, okay, even if it's not caused, then that's not a real choice either. Then and if it's random, that's not a real choice either.
Listen, we live in a material universe. We follow the linear structure of time. Time is going from the past to the future through the present. It is not a common experience to see time flow in different way than this one. So we must accept that on a day-to-day basis we live on a linear level of time. So okay, you can say, Peter can say, okay, I choose to eat chicken instead of veggies yesterday. Then I choose to drink. And I chose, and you
chose not to drink. You chose not to drink.
Okay, I chose not to drink. We can always describe each and single step of our experience as a choice. But in fact,
you're saying that it was predetermined, right? The causes of events.
When we look back at our past history, we only made one choice. We didn't really test the alternatives. So there were no bifurcations we experienced directly in our past. So our past is a linear sequence of steps with no real alternatives. If we look
I think there were alternatives. Like right now, I'm sitting on a chair, but I could have changed that.
Yes, when we look back, we like to think that we had the choice, but in fact we didn't make any other choice other than the one we in fact choose to do. So it is a moot point for me.
But we made a choice.
Well, but how can you say it was really a choice? The point is that as far as I know, maybe 99.9.
Say again? I think we lost you.
I think you dropped off or something like that.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Hopefully he comes
back. Well, guys, see you later on. I'll need to go. I need to go prepare for work.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Okay. Thank you. Hope to see you guys later.
Yep.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Peter. I should probably also go. It's getting late for me as well, and me and Massimo are in the same, or not Massimo, Superfin guy are in the same time zones.
Yep. All right. Thanks for the yeah. It was fun.
I'll do more again, so drop in next time it happens.
Sure thing. Catch ya.
See you later.